no one left but you. There's 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 no one left but you. We're gonna party tonight. We're gonna party. We're gonna party. We're gonna party tonight. Yes, we got it. We're gonna party. We're gonna party tonight. We're gonna party. We're gonna party tonight. We're gonna party tonight. 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 You got to unwind yourself, boy, come get down. Don't look for a pie, there's a pie all around. Leave your attitude at home and get this started. Unwind yourself, boy, come get loose. Shake and you shimmy over lovely grooves. Jimmy's on the microphone and we're gonna party. There's no one left but you. There's no one left but we're gonna party. There's no one left but you. We're gonna party tonight. But you. There's no one left but we're gonna party. There's no one left but you. We're gonna party tonight. We're gonna party tonight. There's no one left but you. There's no one left but you. We're gonna party tonight. There's no one left but you. There's no one left but you. There's no one left but you. We're gonna party tonight. Got to get to.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the ASL. This is day number 3, and we're going to start this off with an interview before we get our games going.
That's right. Today is Bisu's group, in case you didn't know. That would be really weird because you're tuned into the stream, so you should probably know that and understand that the greatest Protoss of all time is playing today.
This is true.
And, well, let's just start with him. The frosting, the cherry, the cake itself, Bisu.
오늘은 어때요? 이번 리그의 목표를 좀 정하고 간다면
In
어디까지
ASL Season 1, he made it into the main event 3 times.
네.
요새 뭔가 그냥 게임이 잘 풀려가지고
What's your goal for this season?
뭔가 좀 기분이 뭔가 잘 될 것 같아요.
I wasn't really satisfied with my performance until March,
좋아 보이는데
but today I have a pretty good feeling.
그냥 똑같아요.
잘
Says,
풀릴 것
yeah, you have
같은데
a good
컨디션은 똑같다.
condition.
오늘 24강 경기에서
He says, yeah, my condition is pretty much the same.
한다면 ASL 다승 1호로 조기석 선수랑 같이 오를 수 있다는 거 혹시 아시나요?
아니요, 처음 들어봐요.
처음 들어봐요.
네.
그러면은 이런 새로운 목표까지 생겼는데
You
반드시
make it the next
이겨야겠네요.
round,
뭐
you'll have a record of the most wins
좀
along with
성적을
Shirt.
잘 돼야 될 것 같아요. 최근에 제가 좀
Says, I didn't even
많이
notice that.
잘 떨어져가지고 뭐 소위 말하는 광탈을
광탈.
받아가지고
네.
이번에는 좀 좋은 성적을
Says,
내는
recently I've been eliminated from the
정말 좋은
tournament a lot of
성적을 내서
times.
광탈러를 이번에는 피하기를 바라고.
I'm not really looking far ahead. I just want to make it to the next round.
팬분들 정말 많을 텐데 인사랑 각오 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
There's a lot of fans that support you and love you. Any words to them?
중에 1등으로 진출하겠습니다.
와우, 역시 김태경 선수다운 각오였습니다.
Says, making it out
감사합니다.
of my group in the first place is my goal.
다음은 변현재 선수 만나보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네,
This is Minnie now. Hello, Minnie.
모습이에요. 지금
Star girl.
실례지만 몇 년생이세요?
저 94년생이요.
94년생. 이번 ASL 첫 본선
Just
진출이잖아요.
asking
Yeah.
what year he was born. He says
노회로도
1994.
제가
그쵸?
군대 가가지고 참가를 못했거든요.
This is your first ASL.
네, 지금 이제 24강 경기를 바로 눈앞에 앞두고 있는데
And you are a
막 떨리거나
potential
어떠세요?
rotor.
첫 상대가 좀
Well,
너무 잘해가지고
Theoretically.
그게 좀
Are you
김태경
nervous?
선수잖아요.
네.
김태경 선수를
Well, yeah, my opponent's Bisu. He's pretty strong, so obviously I'm a
일단
bit
최대한
nervous.
첫 경기만 조금 생각해 왔어요.
첫 경기만
네.
첫 경기만 파는
You
걸로.
must have some specific strategy
없는 우리 변현재 선수네요.
if you're going to beat Bisu.
그러면 이제 끝으로 ASL
What you prepare?
시청자 여러분께 인사랑 각오 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
Says he only
제가 시즌
focused on the
1이랑
first match.
2는 이제 못 나왔기 때문에 이제 시즌 3에서는 이제 잘하는 모습
And
보여드리도록
asks if there's any
하겠습니다.
words from the fans.
감사합니다. 변현재 선수 좋은 성적 기대하겠습니다.
Says I haven't really had a chance to
계속해서
show what I'm
2연속
made of.
본선 진출에 성공한
But
반가운
from now on, I'll show
얼굴이죠.
my
이재호
best.
선수 안녕하세요.
And now, of course,
안녕하세요.
Light,
먼저
our lone Terran player tonight. They say hello to each other. Surprise.
근데 24강은 그렇게
It's 2 back-to-back ASLs. How do you feel about that?
16강을 가야지 이제 지난 시즌에 이어서 진출한 느낌이 날 것 같아가지고
Says, well,
오늘 경기에
Ro.24 doesn't really feel as much like a real event. But if I make it the round of 16, that's real.
아쉽게도 이제
And
지난
for
시즌에는
prospective guys, round of 16 is where the StarLeagues all started back in StarCraft 1.
저도 만만치가 않아요.
Anyways,
그
you were
잘 해오셨나요?
eliminated
일단 제 자신에게 기대
from early rounds previously.
스스로도 그래서
네.
최대한
You have 3 toss in your group tonight.
네.
경기를 하려고 합니다. 그래서 올라가면은 엄청 제 스스로에게도 감동적일 것 같고 떨어지면은
Says I'm just kind of trying to empty my mind and not have too much expectations of myself.
쓸쓸하지 않을까.
약간 자신을 위로하는 마인드로
So
잃을
even
게
if I get
없다 나는
eliminated,
올라가면 좋고 아니면 말고 그런 마인드로 오신 것 같은데 그럼
won't hurt
오늘
much.
경기 각오랑 팬분들께 인사 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
일단 오늘 제가 떨어질 거라고 예상하시는
So, any words to your
많을
fans?
거라고 생각을 하거든요. 제 스스로도 일단 제가 많이 부족한 점을 많이 보여줬기 때문에 그렇게
Says I know there's a lot of people who think I'll be eliminated
그래서
today.
오늘 꼭 진출해가지고 그 이미지 조금 바꾸고 싶습니다.
Because I haven't shown great plays.
좋은 경기 기대하겠습니다. 네, 감사합니다.
But if
다음은
I
김재훈 선수
advance tonight,
만나보겠습니다.
I hope it'll change people's thoughts
안녕하세요.
about me.
안녕하세요.
네, 김재훈 선수.
재훈.
대국민 그리고 ASL 시즌 1 시즌 3까지 총 3번의 지금 본선 진출이네요. 이렇게 안정적인 성적의 비결은 역시
You made it through
열심히
except for
연습하는
season
거겠죠?
2.
평소에 연습 얼마 정도 하시나요?
What's the secret of your stable performance?
하는 것 같아요.
남들 하는
much do
만큼
you
열심히
practice?
하지도 않고 뭐 그냥
Says as much as everyone
아니
else.
아니 열심히 할 땐 열심히 하고
네.
안 할 땐 또 안 하고.
안 할 땐 안 하고
네.
오늘 자신이 이제 16강에 진출을
Well, when I
해야 되잖아요.
practice hard, I'm playing hard. When I practice just a little, I'm just doing a little.
제가 볼 땐 1경기를 잡으면 네.
What's your percent chance on getting to the next
1경기를
round?
잡으면 2위로요?
네.
왜 이렇게 김재훈
Says
선수
if I win the first match here against Light,
오늘. 네, 파이팅 해야 되잖아요.
then I have a chance to make it through in second place.
상대인지라
네.
너무 강한 상대들이
Says what?
많아가지고
Second?
좀 많이 좀 긴장되는 것 같아요.
네, 상당히 긴장되고
Says well, there would be a pretty darn strong opponent ahead of me then, wouldn't there?
응원해주시는 팬 여러분께 인사 한번
Wouldn't there be Star Girl?
아, 네. 오늘
You ever heard of Bisu Stargirl? That's what he said, guys. Any words to your fans?
네. 올라가도록 하겠습니다.
네, 김재훈 선수 감사합니다.
Hopefully I can pull out a great
네,
performance
좋은 경기력 기대하겠습니다. 김재훈 선수까지 만나봤습니다.
All right, that does it for the interviews. We're going to be jumping into these games momentarily. Tonight is going to be a great night to learn PvP as well as PvT, since those are the only possible matchups that we can see.
Sure. And hard to say how much we'll see of each, but at least 2 of each matchup and
That's
a
right.
third of one of them.
Okay, our players are now going into their proper booths, and then we will jump right into this. This is the group phase of the ASL, so keep in mind that it's just one game, and that match is over.
Yes.
Now, of course, if you lose the first game, you go down to the losers portion of the group, so whoever loses immediately here is not out, but it's a very unforgiving format.
Yeah, GSL style best of 1. Of course, you know, Bird War, a game where you can have best of 1s and still get the best player winning the tournament.
Yeah.
Is that player in this group tonight? Possibly. Bisu, of course, the greatest Protoss of all time.
Bisu is a phenomenal Protoss player who really revolutionized the entire race in the later years of StarCraft Brood War. Especially in the matchup Protoss versus Zerg. But his Protoss versus Terran and Protoss versus Protoss are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
He has not been performing as well as a lot of people have expected him to. We've had some other Protoss players seem to be a little bit more dominant, but obviously Bisu's been training very hard. He's very eager to prove himself here. And I would definitely say he still looks pretty good, but it's not quite the same Bisu we've seen before, whereas you look at somebody like Flash and he's playing the games of his life.
Yeah, it kind of hurts because last season Bisu was looking pretty good in the beginning of the season.
That's right.
He was like probably the second best player in the tournament or third best player in the tournament when you really look at it, like in the early rounds, and then it just kind of didn't work out for him. So hopefully he's able to make it through this PvP slugfest tonight and show us what he's made of once again in that round of 16.
Okay, we are going to take a quick look at what the groups have looked like so far. As you can see, Mong, Effort, Sulky, and Shine are the ones to advance. We're going to be doing Group C tonight and Group D on Tuesday.
Indeed we are, as you see. 3 Zergs already getting through and a Terran. The map pool is kind of funny right now. Camelot, our first map of the night, and then we finish on Circuit Breaker, which, I mean, not Circuit Breaker, I'm sorry, that's the second map. We finish on, wow, I'm getting the sickest brain fart right now.
You mean the
Outsider.
Outsider.
Yeah, it's the last map of the night, and so that's part of the reason why we see a lot of Zergs getting right through there, winning
Outsider,
ZVPs
especially
on
against
Outsider.
Protoss. Yeah, it seems like it's a tough matchup for Protoss. Outsiders are a really different map. In the history of Brood War, we've had some of the craziest maps, basically the craziest maps in RTS history.
Yeah.
Maps where only certain units could fit up and down ramps, maps where locations are blocked off by minerals that have to be mined.
Yeah.
They were using things that were the equivalent of destructible rocks in StarCraft 1 for a long time before it was ever really in StarCraft 2. Structures you had to destroy to enter a certain
There's
area.
been maps with permanent spells on the ground.
Like Disruption Web.
Yeah, there's been maps that are like, they have mazes in the middle of the map. There's even been a map with a neutral command center in the middle so that we could perhaps see infested Terrans on that map. That's how, I mean, we've gone the full gamut of maps here in StarCraft 1.
So it's going to start off with the Protoss versus Protoss, which we'll be explaining to you guys in detail, how that matchup operates and how to watch for that, or what to watch for, excuse me, in that matchup. And then Light, obviously, in some ways, there is an advantage for Light in the sense that he only has one matchup he has to know. No matter how this goes, he just keeps playing PvP all night.
That's true.
But of course, all 3 of these Protosses have different styles of play, and that's very tough since Protoss have so many options and opportunities early on. You got to kind of be ready for anything and everything.
You certainly do. But you know what, Light, I think he's up to the task, Tasteless. When you look at this group of players, Bisu and Light stand out head and shoulders above Mini and Jaehoon. I mean, Jaehoon is a pretty good player. Mini was around, he played some Pro League and stuff like that, but Light and Bisu, these guys are are really high-end guys that you would always tune their matches back in the glory days. So hopefully we see Light really power through here, but I'm ready to see some upsets as well.
Yeah, I am as well, Artosis. This is going to be on the map Camelot, and that'll be our map for the first 2 games. Bisu, basically the greatest Protoss player of all time. Struggling right now in some of the other previous ASLs, trying to get to that form that he was in once before. And I think if he gets there, he's going to be unstoppable. This guy is a monster.
Yeah, he's pretty brutal when he's playing at his absolute best. In my opinion, the most impressive player to stand behind and watch play in the world for StarCraft 1. I watch him move and it's just like, what the hell am I even watching?
He's so fast.
He's so fast, it's almost hard to understand what he's doing. Even if you're a pro player, it's like, whoa, you are just another level, man. No wonder you've won so many championships. On the other hand, Mini, well, Mini was around. He played matches on TV and stuff, but there was a real lack of Protosses, and he wasn't really considered a top Protoss, Protoss good enough to field for sure, but he was just like, this is a guy that watched every Bisu game twice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be really weird for him now, playing against Bisu. If he takes out Bisu, that's huge for him.
Yeah.
That is such a big win.
You can tell he takes StarCraft 1 very seriously right now, by the way, because you saw how long his fingernails were there. This is something a lot of StarCraft 2 fans tuning in might not know about, but StarCraft 1, a lot of people have their nails longer. They feel it helps with the clicking.
Yeah, we can talk about that more in a second. We're going to go into game number 1 for tonight's StarCraft 1 matches, Bisu versus Mini. All right, in the upper left, in the yellow, our Protoss player Bisu. The Protoss player Bisu, I should say.
Truly the Protoss.
In the bottom right, in the purple, our other Protoss player, Mini. The other Protoss player.
Yeah. Or we could say one of the other Protoss players.
Yeah, one of the many. So, Protoss versus Protoss. Let's talk about how this matchup works and what to expect. So, Reavers are incredibly strong in this matchup, and you either have to acknowledge that and go for Reavers, or try to play around that while still respecting the Reavers enough not to kill you. Mm-hmm. So, it's most common for players. They're trying to get Dragoons, they're needing Observers, but they're going to tech up to Reavers, generally speaking, possibly pushing each other, possibly expanding with it. The other options are to try to skip Reavers, massing up Dragoons and expand, and hopefully you get good flanks. Or you can try to go for Dark Templars, for instance, and try to fly in, or not fly in, just run in with those DTs, and maybe kill some probes if they don't have the Observer. But most of PvPs, basically, if you don't see some kind of Reaver play involved, it's considered somewhat unorthodox.
Yeah, you're very right about that. Now, there's also something kind of funny about this map in particular, Camelot. This doesn't have a ramp that you can just block scouting with one Zealot on.
Right.
So that, a lot of maps are just kind of, your main base has a little ramp, it goes down towards your natural, and that way you can kind of hide a lot of tech, you have a high ground advantage, everyone attacks you early. This map is not like that, so definitely can change the opening builds around a little bit.
Yeah, it's very true. If you have a ramp, you can usually skip Zealots, or you sometimes can skip Zealots entirely. If there's a big ramp, or not a big ramp, a big entrance into your base, you're a little bit more afraid of some Zealot rushes, because you can't block it off as easily. But it looks like in this case, neither player is really interested in doing any kind of pressure. Now, with the probe coming in over here, let's see what exactly he's got in store for us, because, yeah, okay. He's going to proxy something, or at least hide tech.
All right.
Which is actually
that could be just a hidden pylon as well, because as I was saying,
that's true.
You can't scout on most maps, on a lot of maps. Let me say in PvP, because the Zealot will just sit there. But if you go and scout your opponent's main, you're obviously going to count pylons, and if there's one missing, that sticks out like a sore thumb. So you might predict that something crazy is going to happen, but it's not. It's just a hidden pylon.
Oh! He needs to get that probe in.
Who said you can scout on this map?
Oh my God! He's actually controlling so well.
Yeah, he's doing
actually doing a really good block. This is a lot harder than it looks for the Zealot. Okay, he does manage to juke and jive his way in. And he's going to see roughly what's going on. Now, when you get here this early, unless they're doing something really dramatic with tech, you're probably not going to find. You're just going to say, okay, it's all par for the course. By the way, Artosis, another reason why he might have made that pylon there too, they actually could have 3 reasons. One was the one that you mentioned, right? You hide a pylon there. If you get scouted, it might look like you're trying to hide DT's tech or something, or you don't really proxy Robo in PvP, but like you have to, think, okay, there's something going on here. You can also spot and see if anything is going to fly out with that pylon. But also, let's say that you're expanding, and
very true.
And the other player is attacking the front of your base. Well, you have vision of minerals and the geyser.
Yeah.
And of course, if you take your probes and right-click on those minerals that you see with that pylon, they're going to move in a straight line.
Yeah, they drill.
You can drill them essentially. Yeah.
You can't drill without seeing another mineral patch. Like, you can't just right-click on mineral patches that you have seen. Oh, wow, he just spotted that. So that's pretty cool. He's going to be able to possibly take that out, but you got to be careful if you get like your back to some other Dragoons coming down. By the way,
this is
2
really
very different builds coming up. 3 gates for Bisu, whereas Mini going into the robotics a lot quicker.
Now, what's very interesting about what Bisu's doing is that it's kind of risky. He's going 3 gateway Dragoon, and we don't have a Robo.
Yeah.
He's skipped the Robo entirely. He wants to get a lot more just overall Dragoons out here. Now, you might be asking, what happens if Mini Dark Templar rushes? Oh, that answer is simple. Bisu dies.
That's simple. Why'd you even ask that one?
Yeah, that's straightforward. However, it looks like Bisu's read this correctly, so he's going to try to avoid the Robo Bay. And because this is a map without a ramp, he might be able to just bust him down with 3 Gateway Dragoon. And this is a really good aggro build that occasionally ends up crushing 2 Gateway Robo.
Yeah, and do want to point out they both got ranged very quickly. When you have something like a rampless map, you kind of have to, because ranged Dragoons just spank non-ranged Dragoons.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the Dragoon is basically a dud unit until you have that range ability.
It's pretty worthless. So the fact that they both have range, but Bisu has more Dragoons, definitely could capitalize here. Of course, we're closer to the rallies of Mini, so there is some slight chance he can get something done.
Here we go. He has 1 Dragoon more, and there's going to be 3 more coming out in a second here to rally with this.
Now look at this, the probe's being pulled immediately, realizing that he will just straight up die if he doesn't have a little bit in there to buffer, but he has more Dragoons popping out. He has these probes with his army as well, so Bisu can't break right now, but he can keep poking in, picking off anything that's out front.
So he had that Zealot in the front because that takes a while for the Dragoons to hit, and he's trying to reduce the Dragoon count. Now the next 3 Dragoons are going to come in. Keep in mind there's 2 incrementing out for Mini, 3 for Bisu, putting a lot of pressure on here. Smart move here by Mini to make some Zealots because they tank a little bit more damage.
Yeah, the Zealots do take a lot of hits out of Dragoon because of that explosive damage against a small unit, but Bisu's still trying to poke in. He actually has a red Dragoon up front. He's got to be very careful about that. 3 more Dragoons joining, more rallying down still.
And he's not making probes here in his main, at least in that shot that we had of it back there, where I believe it's possible Mini is still making probes.
Yeah, well, Mini has a lot of his probes pulled here as well, so that's a little bit annoying. But with that Robotech, he has gone into Reaver, so he can just make a Reaver without a shuttle ASAP, and that's going to really help him to hold as well.
Okay, the Reaver's out. Now, it's not very realistic that Bisu can get in there and assassinate the Reaver. Of course, that is somewhat up to Mini here. But I will tell you this right now. I think Bisu's in a pretty ugly position here.
Yeah, I'm not super liking it. Like, probes were pulled, so that hurt a little bit. He lost a few probes, but Mini has such a delicious tech advantage right now.
Yeah, and a lot of options to follow up with that. And keep in mind, since Bisu didn't get a Robo, he doesn't have observers. He doesn't even know exactly what's going on. Now he probably has a rough idea. He saw the Reaver. But not knowing the positions of the Reaver, the positions of the Dragoons, that's really very uncomfortable there. And this now, we have to say, gives an advantage here for Mini.
It certainly does.
He definitely has more tools at his disposal to win this.
Look, I really like that Bisu tried a brute force advantage type build like this on Camelot, thinking maybe he can get the less experienced player caught off guard and kill him.
Sure.
But Mini instantly pulled his probes. He got back into an arc. He let additional probes die. Like, he knew every single step of the way how to defend against what Bisu was up to.
And, I mean, I can guarantee you Mini is aware of his advantage. Okay, really good job here, pushing out. Now, he knows that a lot of the Dragoons for Bisu, they have to be spread out on the map to try to catch Reavers. And we see that there's 3 over here. I mean, 4, 5 actually up here. and that's in case a Reaver drop happens, he can maybe catch it. But Mini pushes out, and he may be bringing a shuttle with these 2 Reavers and attempting to push. Now, a lot of that, the results from that will come down to the position of the 2 armies and how well they can control. But generally, a player with Reavers versus a player that doesn't have Reavers, you usually want to be the Reaver player.
Yeah, certainly you do. Just the ridiculous damage out of those Scarabs, as well as the long distance, right? Bisu will have to decide when this battle occurs. Does he dive forward? And more than does he dive forward, but when does he dive forward? Because that is really what's crucial. Do you try to pick off that shuttle, or do you put your damage onto other Dragoons? You cannot let another Protoss player micro those Reavers against you.
Yeah. It is important to say that the build that Bisu took was risky. Not all in-like, but it definitely puts him in a bad position at this phase of the game. He still doesn't have his own observers out on the map to check. And this push is going to start up. The Dragoon's now moving up here to the north for Mini, and he's going to try to hit over here, just on the left.
Look at this beautiful move, spotting with that observer, trying to pick off some Dragoons with those Reavers before they even begin the battle. Any kills that Mini can get before they engage are huge, because this army right now for Bisu is so big, he might be able to overwhelm this.
Yeah, this might be the point in time where it's questionable to try to push any further. If he gets a good enough arc, okay, good call by Mini.
Wow,
because
yeah.
Since the observers were skipped here, and right now the Protoss tech is so slow for Bisu, the only thing he had going for him was that amount of Dragoons, and I think he played this pretty effectively.
Yeah. Well, he took his disadvantage of not having a Reaver and tried to make an advantage.
He's dropping over here, and this is something you can always do after the push happens, and it connects. So, because Bisu has to get everything into an arc, because he might have to full-on engage the rest of this army, he can actually come over here, and the Reaver can actually get in there and then hit the probes, and that's usually a good follow-up if the push doesn't work. Now, it was pretty smart by Bisu to try to come down there and get that shuttle. I really like that.
If you catch that, Bisu's just going to win the game.
I think he is going to catch it.
He's coming up, trying to do something here.
It's up there. So he backs up. Okay.
Well, you know, at the end of that, I do want to go back to the way that Bisu decided to play this. I'm really a big fan of it. Mini had such good scouting. He knew what was going on, so Bisu did the only thing that would give him a decent chance of winning an upcoming battle against Reavers, which is just out of gate, keep making Dragoons, a few Zealots here and there. He's got this overwhelming ground army, but where does he go from here? Because we're up to 4 Reavers from Mini, and as the Dragoon counts get closer, as the supplies get higher, these Reavers are just brutal.
Yeah, this is something that was always more popular in Korea than it was anywhere else in the world, but getting 2 shuttles and 4 Reavers, it can be pretty devastating if you can control it correctly, but you're getting the rest of your tech out later. You know, your attack upgrades are later, the Citadels later, Templars are later. But you can also do a lot of cool stuff like try to harass him while you're still okay from a counterattack. And it looks like he wants to try to push, and he might poke it again with another Reaver drop. Now, controlling 2 shuttles is actually really hard.
Yeah, it's very difficult indeed.
Super frustrating. You really, like, if you're new to StarCraft 2 when you're controlling this, you're not really paying that much attention to your Dragoons. You're just babysitting the Reavers.
Well, the Reavers really are everything. Now, look at this. Bisu kind of moving south, getting a good line of units. It has a flanking force up top. Yeah, it looks like he does. He's split them out. Now, he has a Citadel, so we have legs on the way for these Zealots. It's not done yet, though, and he has to engage. The Reavers so far just hitting a few Zealots, so these Scarabs not doing as well as he wants.
He's actually gotten shuttle speed here. The Reavers are taking a lot of damage. We really need to see if the rest of these are going to be picked off. He's actually taking out both shuttles here, and he's targeting these Reavers up here at the top, and that means that Bisu is just going to overwhelm this army. You know,
Mini has played... What? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, like, I've tried experimenting a lot back in my day with 2 shuttle Reaver, and I find it so hard to effectively do.
Yeah.
Compared to a massive amount of Dragoons. And I know that a lot of the other people I've talked to have said the same thing, that it's like, it feels strong, and sometimes you win really hard with it.
Yeah.
But if you just miscontrol, like the sheer amount of Dragoons, they just come in there, they snipe your 2 shuttles. The Reavers have to be positioned perfectly.
Yeah. Bisu engaged that perfectly. Like, I am a super fan of how Mini played this game until that attack right there. But, like, the thing is, Bisu is the one that undid that attack. He had just a handful of Zealots in front of his Dragoons, and they drew so much of the early Scarabs. The Dragoons were able to get up there. He has so many more Dragoons than his opponent, and he's only losing Zealots for the most part to the Reavers. It just allows him to overpower, target those shuttles down so the Reavers can't be microed, and bam, the Reavers are going to die super fast.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's made 2 more Reavers, so these are the 5th and 6th Reavers of this game. Whereas Bisu's been teching very steadily. I feel like Mini is like stuck in a tech period in this game and is almost stubbornly clinging to it. I guess you have to get those 2 Reavers no matter what if you lose that fight.
Yeah.
But like this is a lot of gas that could have gone to a much more sophisticated late game Protoss army.
Well, I'm sure he knows that there's going to be some speed zealots coming up, and if he doesn't have some sort of splash in there, it's going to be very tough on his Dragoons, of course. So Mini at a big deficit after all is said and done. Bisu taking his 3rd base a little bit faster here as well.
Now, back there, we saw that Mini invested in shuttle speed. So I actually thought he was going to be doing more drop harass, because shuttle speed is pretty hard to deal with, even if you know they have it. The shuttle is just, as you can see, it's so much faster, and it's so much easier to get away from anything that might be thrown at you. And he's going to come up here. Now, this is not really that helpful, because there's no workers here. In fact, he might have wanted to turn around and wait for the Nexus to finish and then go in, because that's going to be a point that Bisu is going to be defending from here on out.
Yeah, it's kind of a tell at this point as well. Now, where does Mini go from here? Because this is getting very tough. Bisu with the larger ground army is also teching into Psystorm at this point, and if you just Psystorm on top of the Reavers, Psystorm does such massive damage in StarCraft 1 that, like, you can pick them up in the shuttle, but the shuttle's taking so much damage here as well, and it's going to help you to clean those Reavers very quickly.
Yeah, Templars basically counter the Reavers specifically. Obviously, you want to storm Dragoons and anything else you can. Yeah, there's no way
they just do massive damage against everything, really.
Oh, look at this. Bisu just doing such a good job. He's so on top of everything. 1DT was sent over there, hoping to maybe slip into the main. Mini right now going to try to push here from the bottom.
Hey, if he can pick off any units at this point, it's kind of a small victory. He gets in there, only gets a single Zealot, but he pulls back out again, trying to fly in with these Reavers. And look, there's that Psystorm you were talking about. Look at that shuttle! Oh! So close to going down.
That was crazy. 1DT over here in the upper right. He's going to continue to try to monitor the possible 4th base that could come up here. But Bisu in the lead. He's already mining from the 3rd base ahead of his opponent. A lot of this does come down to the choices that Mini made in the mid game here.
Yeah, the Mini is really kind of tied his hands behind his back at this point, losing those first 2 shuttles full of Reavers. But, you know, maybe if he holds these ramps, he'll be able to get something done. Bisu's army is getting pretty out of control big, though. Yeah,
he might almost be maxed out, actually.
Yeah, he has to be close.
And, I mean, from here, you just kind of keep macroing out and try to attack into him. Now, it is always hard to attack into a player with Reavers. It's harder to beat a player who has Reavers attacking in. It's easier to defend a Reaver push than it is to attack into a guy that has Reavers. His Reavers are just in a good position. It's really up to you. It looks like he's filled out that final part of the Protoss army Bisu has, where he's got some Zealots and some Archons here. You need some Archons in your army at the end of the game because they have so many Zealots. You want your splash to counter their Zealots.
Yeah.
And it's very important you know where to hit with your Zealots when the fight happens. You really want to be connecting with Dragoons and avoiding Archon shots.
Yeah, the Zealot can really counter the Dragoons so late into the game here, but we'll see how this goes against those Scarabs as well. Definitely will help against the Zealots, especially if they clump up a lot, but between the Psystorm and just the massive army size of Bisu, oh my god, that is so many Zealots.
You've got to be careful if these run into Scarabs. They're all going to die pretty quickly. He's coming down now. Some storms blanketing down. More Zealots going to come in here and flank the side. Really good storms here on those Dragoons.
Yeah, those Dragoons are almost all dead at this point with that many storms. The Reavers from behind trying to get some damage in. The Zealots are definitely clumping quite a bit, but the overall army size of Bisu is way too large.
Yeah, and this is a point where the Reavers weren't really there to combo properly with the army. I don't know if it would have mattered anyways, but now he's just going to spill in here, and look at this. He's going directly for production. He knows he has way too many Protoss units. If he can actually break this position, it's going to be disastrous here for Mini.
Well, the Reavers come back, trying to push it back, and for the time being, Bisu will back up, but he's got more rallies coming across the map. He's taking a 4th base behind this, keeping that pressure on, and there's not much Mini can do to really save this base.
He's going to try to come over here and do as much damage as he possibly can. There's more rally units coming up. Templars that can be used to storm at the ramp when the rest of the army does get there. Very good storm.
Right on top of those Reavers as well, getting down into the very deep red. Dragoon's going to come up, pick off that shuttle. The Reavers will be going down as well. But he has lost a ton of probes.
Yeah, the fact that he got in here and hit all these workers is just huge. He needs to get that Archon to right-click on that on that probe patch.
I know, right?
But he's got, it looks like just barely Mini survives. But of course, tempo now does go towards Bisu, as Bisu's now taking a 4th base. Bisu's still macroing up. I believe Bisu actually has more gateways as well.
Yeah, I would imagine that he does at this point. Like, Mini, again, he's played a very strong game, but after he lost that push of the 2 Reavers, man, it's just so tough to get anything done from there. Being down a base, trying another Reaver drop at Bisu on top of things, immediately evacuates these probes.
Now hitting the Zealot here. This is not a bad idea for Mini. I don't know if it's done enough damage. He needs to get that probe. Oh! That's the exact correct sound to make in that moment, by the way. In case you're wondering how
that
to
could have been crazy.
Yeah. He's coming up here again.
Oh!
Okay, he takes that out. It's going to force him back.
Oh, it's so brutal. They really need to increase the pickup range of shuttles. Well, Bisu, you know, from here it's just keep up your macro, make sure that Mini can't get really great harassments done like he just tried. We see Mini he's spending a lot of his gas here. He looks like Tace has got way too many High Templars. Going to make some of these into Archons.
You know me too well. Well, a lot of times Zealot Archon is the quickest thing that you can replenish.
Yeah, late game PvP, a lot of times it really does turn into a lot of Archon Zealot running around the place.
So you'll see that a lot of times, and that's just because you can get some Dragoons, sure, but like just the combination of Zealots and Archons, they're really fast. They do a lot of damage pretty quickly. If you try making your own Dragoons, I mean, you're just going to get run over. And usually after big fights like that, they don't have a Reaver anymore. So suddenly the thing that was kind of keeping you from getting Zealot legs all along has been knocked out of the game. Now you can actually just try to barrel over there and kill him.
Well, the Psystorm definitely going to be coming into this next battle as well. Another shuttle moving up here with Dark Templar plus Reaver. I mean, it's kind of scary, but... well, I actually really like this move. Look at this. He's trying to target down a base.
Oh, my God.
After drawing the army up towards that Reaver drop. This was a really nice strategic move out of Mini.
Is that DT still alive back there? Hopefully we'll get a shot at that in a minute.
The shuttle, I think, got away with the Reaver, probably, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it looks like Storm's coming
High Templars Psystorming each other, man. That
happens. That's a thing. Now, there's no observer with this army, by the way, so DTs are actually just going ham on everything else that's around here. Yeah, now, here's the question: as brilliant as Mini's strategy was, does he actually have enough to defend this if Bisu pushes it at all? Although, I got to say, Mini might actually just take this game. If Bisu doesn't do something, they're going to base up right away.
I think Bisu's going to come up here, try to clear this, and the thing is, his army is still a lot bigger than Mini's.
Yep. That's
so Mini is like Mini is pulling like a bunch of rabbits out of his hat. Happy Easter, everybody!
Yeah,
trying to take this one down, but I actually really love the way that Mini has played here tonight. This has been such a solid game from him. Other than the double shuttled Reaver loss, right? Like that one battle is the only thing that really we could consider a blunder from him.
Well, the question remains, does he have enough to hold off a big attack? And remember, you want your Archons to connect with their Zealots. That's the name of the game.
Some good Psystorms do go off for Mini, and he tries to make some Archons out of it.
I don't know if Mini should have been out here.
Well, I think he just has no units, you know? He's microing one Reaver across the map like his life depends on it, and in a lot of ways it does. Because he's got to have the whole army chase it for a while longer if he's going to win.
All right, that's it. GG. Bisu wins. But that was a pretty back and forth game.
This was a really nice game. I enjoyed this one a lot. Mini showed a ton of skill in PvP right there against Bisu, and in fact, like, the thing is, at the end of the day, Bisu won. He had, he had what it took. He knew what to do when he got behind. But Mini, like, put up such a fight that if he fights Jaehoon, I'm betting on him winning.
Yeah, I got to say, Mini, he definitely knows how to play. I'm a little bit surprised to see Bisu do the 3-gate Dragoon push, but I suppose on a map like that, it's not a terrible idea. And of course, it could just be a quick win that then also masks the rest of his PvPs throughout tonight. And
that's definitely something that Mini could have tried to bust out as well. And if you're doing the same strat and you're Bisu, you're going to win.
That's true. Really good harass there from Mini, but ultimately Bisu just had the stronger army. And also, I think that last attack where he got the Nexus, that was pretty cool, but he didn't have a setup for the counterattack from Bisu.
Yeah.
And nothing was really in its place, and army placement in Brood War is so important.
Oh, of course. It's really hard to actually move your army anywhere. So
Yeah.
you want to have it placed as good as you can before the fight begins.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back here at the ASL.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
양이놈 장난이 없다 근데 진짜.
땅땅치기 신제품 매콤 찹스를 지금 탱탱하고 먹어보도록 하겠습니다.
먹어볼게요.
하면서 겉은 바삭하면서 매콤하면서 약간 맛있는 매운맛?
맵다가 아니고 매콤이에요 진짜로.
열심히 입 털고 맛있는 때 순간 나는 파북이다. 매콤 찹스 네 사랑해주세요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오! 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아빠! 기죽지 말고 안 죽지 누가 아들인데.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너! 원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형 뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이에요. 이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 뻗어갑니다. 담장을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투홈런. Did someone say esports?
No.
No. Oh, I could have sworn I heard esports.
No one in the whole studio probably said it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's too bad, because if someone had said esports,
you know,
I would have been like, that's right. The oldest esport
Well, could I put an asterisk next to that, Tasteless?
Yeah.
Esports is the word that we use to describe games that try to copy what StarCraft did.
This is true. They try to capture where it all
call
began.
this StarCraft, and then the rest of these nerds out there doing other games, that's esports, because it's like, well, it's kind of a sport like StarCraft, you know? And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, kind of, and that's why we call it an esport there.
Oh, man. Well, we just finished up a great PvP. Mini actually held his own against Bisu, but ultimately Bisu just had a bigger army, had a better attack.
Yeah. He played a really nice game. I was very impressed with Mini here.
That's right. Now we're going to go to Light versus Jaehoon. Now, if you were ever a fan of Terran back in the day, you're probably familiar with Light. He's a very, very good player.
Yeah.
Although I'm curious to see how he's going to play now, here in 2017.
Well, he's shown some good games and some blunders so far since we've seen him really come back strong. But, definitely the same can be said for Jaehoon. Back in the day, for sure, Light would be a favorite against him. Here, really hard to say how it's going to go on Camelot. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've actually seen a TVP on this map yet.
No, I think we saw one.
Did we?
I believe we saw one. No, we didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, don't you ever question me.
I mean, let's see what Jaehoon does. It's a one-on-one map, so there's a lot of tricky stuff that Protoss can try to do. I don't know if Protoss will do it. It does also, at least as far as I can tell, look like a map that when the game gets long enough, Terran has a lot of push potential.
Yes.
And I don't know what Protoss is supposed to do about it.
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe a really good recall, which Jaehoon is not particularly known for, but I guess we'll see what he does. There isn't a ramp, so maybe he can rush.
All right, guys, this is our second game tonight in Day 3 of the ASL. Light versus Jaehoon. In the upper left, our only Terran in today's ASL, it's Light. And in the bottom right, our red Protoss player, Jaehoon. Ruh-roh. Ruh-roh.
Not super surprised. There's not a ramp. The choke is not really that big, so something like a proxy gateway can definitely make some sense on this map against Terran.
Down and dirty.
And
well, it's like I was saying earlier on. It's like this is, if you know their starting location, this is a map where you might want to try to play a fast game.
And I think you're very right, where it's like if Light were to be in a turtled situation on like 4 bases, like
how do you stop that?
Well, I mean, it's like 3 sieges across and you're killing their bases. So I think it becomes pretty hard for Protoss at that point.
So the build that he's picked here, by the way, he's not making another probe.
Yeah,
that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7 gate?
It's a very quick gateway. I didn't quite count, but
okay, he didn't check
wants
for it.
to.
So he wants to get his zealot out right away. There are rushes where you can do this with dragoons. I mean, even when you see the pylon in the middle of the map, you don't necessarily know what the strat is right away.
Yeah.
But just judging from how many probes he cut, what he wants to do is get the zealot in there immediately. Now, you have to keep in mind, a zealot is just stronger than a marine. So what the Terran has to do is rely on really good building placement and really good control and try to outmaneuver that zealot with his marines and kill it. Now, the Protoss doesn't do a ton of damage here. The Protoss is probably going to lose. But if the Protoss either wins the game, well, then we know what happens. But if the Protoss does a really big amount of damage, the game can end up normalizing later on with maybe Protoss as the favorite.
Now, I want to point out a couple things that we just saw during that. The probe looped around and came down the proper scout path to make it look like there was not a proxy.
That's right.
This is a very common thing. You know what time that they might be expecting your probe, but watching what angle things come from, because the pathing in Brood War is weird, you can really quickly tell where the probe came from and be like, oh, okay, you have a proxy up, right? So definitely was a little bit tricky in that. Now he's trying to stall out, and by the way, Light scouted all over for a proxy, but in the wrong places.
That's right.
So this Zealot comes as a little bit of a surprise.
Now also he did soften up some of these SCVs. Got to keep in mind every hit counts here. And if he can actually stop this SCV from making that factory, that would be huge. Now he wants to have the probe combo here with the Zealot. He needs to get that Marine back. He needs to get that back. And between the barracks, I do not believe that you can't.
You can't get a Zealot in between there. Like, the Marines have plenty of places to micro right now that the Zealot cannot follow. So it's just about the nice micro coming out of Light. He's got a micro very well. Oh, that was a little bit of missed micro by Light, but so far Jaehoon is denying this factory from being made. If the factory were to get up, he would just get a single Vulture out and massacre everything and then go kill all the probes. But
it's actually the unfortunate placement of the factory. Had this been put closer to the barracks, it would be a different story. He has 3 Marines out here now. He's waiting for the 3rd Zealot, Jaehoon is. If he can just deny the factory one more time, that would be huge. He does it.
He's getting a very good amount of SCVs as well. I think he's killed 4 or something. It's a lot, man. Wow.
Wow, and he hasn't lost a Zealot yet.
That's pretty crazy.
And it looks like he's going to have a Dragoon making before the factory's done. He's just waiting for this 4th Zealot here. You have to know this like down to a science when you're rushing on both sides. How hard can you engage each other? So the factory should be done, but there will be a Dragoon being made right now. Now the Zealots are hard countered by the Vulture, but a Vulture without mines is easily hard countered by a Dragoon.
Yes, especially a slow one. You can't really do that much against. Now, the Zealot's coming back in. If they can trade with some of these Marines, that's really good because the Marines are going to be all he has to actually hold back the Dragoon.
Right.
He might want to start like a bunker or something to slow this down. But it looks like he might go hunting for the gateway itself and try to take out the pylon.
Yeah, if he can get the Dragoon up against the wall. Okay, here we go. He needs to control this Dragoon perfectly.
Oh my God. Okay,
wow.
So the SCVs, well, they were trying to help there, but definitely the Vulture got stuck for quite some time. Luckily, he does clear out all of those Zealots, and will start to push this Dragoon back as well.
This is a fight that the Protoss is going to be okay with. He needs to keep kiting with this Dragoon. Now, at the other gateway, there should be another Zealot about to spawn out. And from there, he can kill these Marines.
Ooh, not even targeting there by Light, just right-clicking on the pylon. So definitely some rough things occurring right now. With 4 SCVs, you can repair through Dragoon hits and end up being fine against that, but this is getting worse and worse for Light right now.
And keep in mind, he's going to lose these SCVs, for instance, up here. Those are 4 workers that are not mining. We don't have a shot yet of what's going back on at the Terran's base, but, like, this is just so many workers. Also, he's sending Vultures now to try to come in here and counter, and only just now starting a machine shot, but a Dragoon comes out at the last second.
Yeah, this is so bad. Sending this Vulture across was already a risk and a gamble. If there's nothing there, you can theoretically kill every probe with good micro, but he's in so much trouble right now. This is
a funny moment because targeting the Marines is sometimes the better play.
Yeah.
Because nothing can get in the bunker then. Now, if he just backs up, look, he's already got Dragoon range.
This is tough. Okay, a couple of Vultures, though, getting in. So this actually could equalize it, this move. 1 Dragoon coming back right now to try to deal with these Vultures. He's got to micro these perfectly. Oh, that's a great move by Jaehoon. Puts a pylon on top of the minerals so the Vulture cannot get through. And while he gets a lot of probes, it's not equal to the damage that's been dealt to Light. And you can see his hand is off his keyboard.
Yep,
GG.
Light taps out. GG. Great rush there by Jaehoon. Now he'll have to go on and fight Bisu. And one of them is going to move on. I think everybody thinks it's going to be Bisu, but don't count Jaehoon out. That was a very well-prepared strategy. A frustrating, somewhat embarrassing moment there for Light. Well, the veteran here, and he doesn't manage to scout the proxy. Look, Protoss got a lot of scary stuff they can do on that map early.
Certainly they do, and it's a new map, so you're not used to all the proxy locations. Light, he tried to scout for a proxy. He had a feeling it might be a proxy, and just didn't find it. Jaehoon brought the probe back, made it look natural going in. Jaehoon did everything he could to prevent Light from knowing what was going on, and it happened to work out this time, so good on him.
If that factory had been closer to where the Marines could cover it, it might have been a different outcome.
Yeah, maybe. You get that factory up a bit quicker, get a Vulture out before the Dragoon, you kill all the Zealots, and then you get the pylon.
Yeah.
And that really can screw up the Protoss.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, our next matchup, a PvP.
끝까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
양이놈 장난이 없다 근데 진짜.
땅땅치기 신제품 매콤 찹쌀을 지금 탱탱하게 먹어보도록 하겠습니다.
먹어볼게요.
하면서 겉은 바삭하면서 매콤하면서 약간 맛있는 매운맛?
맵다가 아니고 매콤이에요 진짜로.
열심히 입 털고 맛있는 때 순간사는 화북이다. 매콤 짭스 사랑해주세요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오! 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아들!
아빠!
기죽지 말고.
기 안 죽지. 누가 아들인데.
제 아이디를 추가를 하면은 제가 나와요. 사연 주세요. 시가 넌 이미 늦어버렸어. 늦어버린 것 같다. 사람이 굉장히 좋아 보이나봐요. 미안하지! 야, 니 용기를 좀 가지고 먼저 고백을 해봐라. 온 과에 붙인다. 뭉청아. 오빠야. 그기 애면 너는 그의 촉촉한 목소리에
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형 뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이에요. 이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 뻗어갑니다. 담장을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투런홈런. What's up, guys? We're back at the ASL. That was a very short PVT, and it does highlight one problem that Terrans have, or can have, I should say, in any early game. The Terran is fragile, and there's a lot of tricks that Protoss can try to use to their advantage, whether it's to cripple them, slow their tech down, or straight up kill them.
Yeah, things can snowball very quickly for Terran. You start losing a few SCVs, your factor gets slowed down, you lose an extra Marine or take too many hits on them. You have no freedom in your micro. You have no freedom in your choice of strategy, really.
You got to hang on. Yeah. And Terran has to make a lot of very hard decisions from there. Now, if Protoss bungles the rush, they can usually lose pretty fast, but the way that rush operates, you stop making probes at 7, so that you get the gateway and the zealot out like so fast. It's there like at such an insane speed, and then you start making probes again behind it. And the idea is that you're probably going to kill enough SCVs that you're still ahead.
Yeah, and definitely that was the case that game.
Yeah.
Did see, when Light moved out there, having a hard time getting flanked by the Zealots, the Dragoon comes in.
Yeah.
everything went kind of wrong for him. So
it's funny because since you have to make that vulture, then you're weak to the dragoon next.
Yeah.
And you really just have to make that factory as close to the barracks wall off as possible so that you can cover that. I think that could have been a different game had Light positioned differently.
But I mean, Jaehoon did trick him as well. Let's not forget. He brought the probe back, brought it from the correct angle. Light scouted like 70% of all proxy areas that are reasonable for a Zealot Rush, and just missed the only area that Jaehoon's gate was in.
You know what's funny about that is a lot of times if you do that build specifically, you make it really close to them. Like I used to use that build on Destination, I'd make that in the natural.
Yeah.
Because you just want the Zealots to get there so fast. Reducing travel time by 30 seconds is huge. Now, Jaehoon just took out Light, and Light is, of course, a legend from Brood War, but now he has to take on the greatest Protoss of all time. How does he do that? I'm not sure.
No, it's pretty tough. Circuit Breaker is going to be our map. Now, Mini did, he put up a very good fight against Bisu. This is a very different map, though. Camelot was a flat map. Bisu went for, I wouldn't call it an unorthodox strategy for flat maps without ramps. It makes a lot of sense there, but Mini showed us that you can fight against Bisu. You put out a very solid PvP with a good strategy, and you have a chance.
Now, just because we saw Bisu 3-gate that last game, that is not indicative of anything that we will necessarily see in this PvP. If you 3-gate every game, people just start DT rushing you and you die. And it's, by the way, the worst way to lose the game. With PvP, out of all the ways to lose a game, I think the one where you skip detection and DTs come in there, you're like, well, okay.
I think that's the worst for all races.
Yeah.
It's just, I hate that personally as well.
All right, guys, let's go. This is game number 3. The winner moves on to the next round in the ASL.
Oh, is there an airplane in the studio?
Yeah. Introducing our players. In the upper left, in the, okay, now it's in the red, is Bisu. And in the bottom left, in the purple, is Jaehoon.
Okie dokes.
So we hope you guys are taking notes here. StarCraft Remastered is coming out soon. You guys watching, now's your chance to get a head start.
That's right. It really is. You're going to learn a lot about the strategy behind the game. Of course, it's only a portion of the game. You got to learn how to move your units and make those units.
Yeah,
truly the hardest part.
That's a lot harder than it looks. I would recommend you guys start practicing just the builds you see. Practice them against a computer. If you can't do it fast enough, to set the settings lower, the game speed lower, I mean, and practice it there. But once you get the hang of it, it's a really rewarding, kind of gratifying feeling to have.
Nothing feels as good as macroing correctly in Brood War.
Yeah,
when you're hitting your rounds, it's like
you're getting each of your workers back to the patches. You're not missing depots or overlords or pylons. It
is a mental orgasm.
It feels so good. Yeah, it feels so right. And it might sound silly, but yeah, try out some of these builds that you see, but just try it against the computer first. Because you really have to master the game itself, like
a big part of
how to write it in a sense, and then you can start enjoying playing against other people. Now, granted, if you play against somebody of low skill and you're of low skill, you might have a fun time anyways, but it's not going to look like the games you're seeing here.
Well, it's never going to look like the games you're seeing here unless you play professionally for like 10 years. So
yeah,
that's pretty much the case. But anyways.
Okay.
Amazing game, and there we have a nice mana pylon.
So this is called the Manor Pylon, and this is, people hate this. So if you look at the way it's set up, those two red probes on the inside of the mineral patches are actually trapped there. They actually can't get out. Now, pulling off a Manor Pylon is so hard, and this may have been one of the reasons why they removed the fact that you could change hotkeys, because if you could just hit like 2 keys or something and just put it down there right away, it'd be pretty strong. But in order to pull off a Manor Pylon, you have to hit the B key and then leap your hand all the way over to the P key in like a split second.
It's tough to get one down, you know, with the probes pathing in between and all that, but it is worth it basically every time. You trap 2 probes like that, it's crazy. It's not only trapping 2 probes, which you now cannot mine, but other probes start going to those patches that are not being mined from.
Yeah, they
so
loop
they have to
around.
go around, and it just like really hiccups the mining. Like seriously hiccups it.
It's crazy. And you might be asking yourself, well, didn't he lose a pylon? Isn't that bad? The amount of money they lose when you do that is crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, sometimes you see a couple mana pylons get off in a PvP, and it's just like the economy is just about shattered for the Protoss player at that point.
Try getting you get 3 mana pylons off on a guy who skipped the Zealot and is just making the Dragoon, and it's like, oh, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Well, if you skip the Zealot, you may as well just GG.
Yeah, you may as well just tap out.
Oh!
He gets in!
Bisu slips by.
We've been breached!
Oh my god. Well, that's
detected.
You're not supposed to let that happen, but good job on Bisu slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, you really are able to sometimes just outmaneuver melee units if you're just a little bit more focused.
Some of these wider ramps
causes them to, as you can see, kind of arcs around.
Yeah. Range on the way here for Jaehoon, and Bisu getting a full scout of everything. Going to take until the Dragoon gets out to kill that off. Of course, Jaehoon has his own probe up here as well, and is able to easily see that they're basically doing the same thing.
Okay, now, usually if you keep the probe alive throughout the entire PvP, or sorry, until the Dragoon comes out, so from like start to finish, they're not going to show you their tech most of the time. That you just kind of wait. You kind of just keep making Dragoons, and then you decide what to do from there. Now, this is interesting, and Bisu's just playing outside the box this entire night. He's going for a Nexus. Now, you might be saying, isn't that risky? Oh, my God! Wow, both going for quick Nexus.
Well, you know, they were both scouting each other for so long, and the fact that those probes just now died and they're both getting range with one gate, I kind of like it, because it's like, what are you going to do? Suddenly add a robo or 2 gates and go kill your opponent? It's like, no, you're not really going to get any advantage when your opponent already saw you're doing the same thing.
You make a really good point, because everything was put down there late, and they both saw, yeah, you're right, no robo, no gate.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, just like make a Nexus, and then you might even stop making probes for a minute, then make a bunch of gates or robo later on. Now, I'm sorry, not Mini, Mini's not in this game. Jaehoon is going for 3 gates. And I'm not sure. Is Bisu actually? It looks like on the mini map.
He went to 3 gates as well. Yes.
Okay. Now we want to see if they get for the robo. Now the reason why they go for 3 gates immediately after this is they have to be ready for the possible push. I don't believe it's entirely clear for both sides what they're doing. But the first thing you're scared of is a Dragoon Reaver push from here.
Yeah.
If the other player didn't get an Nexus.
Yeah. And look, I gotta give some props to Jaehoon as well. He just keeps kind of poking with these Dragoons. He's not overextending and losing anything. But it's kind of giving him a better read than what Bisu has. You know what I mean? It's the fact that he's on the map, he has that little bit of map control. Bisu is just playing in the dark and doing a build order. I like that for Jaehoon.
Yeah, Jaehoon's looking actually pretty solid today.
Yeah, good plays.
So you got to keep in mind, Bisu really in the dark here. It definitely looks from Jaehoon's standpoint that they both went for a quick Nexus. Now, we don't have the robo yet. Although, you know what, DTs are so unlikely if you've kept the probe in there since the Dragoons are coming. The DT seems like the worst gamble. So they're probably factoring that out.
Yeah. And, of course, in PvP, if you can do something like skip a tech route that could just randomly kill you, but it doesn't come, you suddenly have an advantage because you got so much quicker.
It's this very funny game that you're playing.
Yeah.
Now, we saw that Bisu macroed out a lot of Dragoons here, like a lot. And actually, this angle could actually just crush Jaehoon. Oh my God!
Oh God!
Good
Jaehoon
control.
Coming back now, and he has those Zealots in the front. Jaehoon with more Dragoons coming down, and he's going to be able to snipe a bunch of Bisu Dragoons. The Zealot's still in the middle of things, so he has to be a little bit careful, but will be able to pick those off pretty quickly.
Yep, he does take that out. Oh, and that was actually a super smart move by Bisu. While that was going on, he tried to get one probe to run inside the main. He needs a scout because, of course, the robos are laid for both sides. So there was a lot of technical stuff going on just there. But I think Bisu overextended, and now Jaehoon's going to shove and try to get Bisu back into his corner of the map.
Well, Bisu should be able to hold these ramps without too much problem. So if Jaehoon wants to, he has to go up and around, which gives more time for units from Bisu. And I would say, Bisu, you know, even though he didn't get the probe up the ramp, he knows that it's 3 gates, just based on the amount of units that Jaehoon sent out. So they both have a very good feel, even though they haven't scouted what their opponents are doing since the Nexus went up. They have a good feel for it, at least.
Another pylon goes down over here. As you can see, Jaehoon's been in pretty good control this time around. I believe the Robos are finishing at roughly the same times as well.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
So important to note is that Dragoons are actually some of the dumber units as far as AI goes.
Yes.
It's very hard. It's very hard to move these things.
Well, PvP is the battle of dumb AI because then you got
the
Reaver, which is the truly worst AI in the game.
If only the Protoss had a Goliath, and then they could just have all the dumb units at once. So the shuttle's coming up here. He's going to try to Reaver drop. Unless, I'm sorry, was that shuttle empty and he just wanted to peek out there? It seems strange.
It may have been, actually. I don't think he actually has a Reaver in it right now. I don't think he had time to actually even build it.
It seemed very fast if he did have one there. Which is, that's not really normal, guys, just because, you know, if you... I mean, it's not that risky in these spots, but kind of as a general rule of thumb, you don't really poke with the shuttle.
No.
We have seen the move where they bang, and you guys, it'll be pretty rare if you see it in a tournament, but occasionally they'll put one probe in a shuttle and sometimes put it and drop it the probe in the main to try to scout. But yeah, they're both going for Reavers kind of behind this, so this is actually a pretty unusual PvP in general, and it looks like Jaehoon's going to try to push, and I don't know if Bisu's Reaver is going to be in position.
This is, I really like what he's trying to do here, bringing up his Reavers now. Oh my god! Picked off in a matter of seconds. Bisu's Reaver going to town on these Dragoons.
Jaehoon has to back up. There's no way he can win this fight. Again, it does come down to the positioning of the Reaver and the Dragoons. And it's very difficult to push with your Reavers against their Reavers if you're pushing their base. It's just very hard. And this is a smart move. He says, wait a minute, you're probably not going to be able to attack me. You lost your Reaver. I can come in here and drop.
Oh, man, the Reaver drop is real. Getting in here, only a single probe killed off. Very quick reaction from Jaehoon. Good on him for that one. And in the meantime, Jaehoon is somewhat containing, but he actually doesn't have the units to do this. He's going to have to pull back as soon as Bisu pushes forward.
It seems like the gates are a little bit slower here for Jaehoon.
I think he's taken a couple wonky engagements with these pushes that have allowed Bisu to get ahead for sure. Especially that last sec. I like how he positioned it, bringing most of his Dragoons up around the long way and then trying to punch through the bottom. But Bisu was like there on the bridge and it was mistimed by Jaehoon, so he lost extra units. And the Reaver went down immediately, wasn't placed that well by Jaehoon.
By the way, Bisu cut probes here. He's not making any more probes. He's actually going to try to overwhelm him. And this might actually work. And this is probably a result of the fact that the shuttle and the Reaver were killed. He should have 2 Reavers right now. The pylons that are put out here close to the Dragoons are in the hopes that some of the Dragoon shots will be absorbed onto the pylon. The shield battery, and this is pretty much the only time you see this in a PvP, is put here so that he can try to recharge the Reaver.
All right, here we go. The 2 Reavers pushing forward right now. No shuttle for the Reaver of Jaehoon. Going to make it a lot harder to keep alive, but he's got it pretty well positioned at the moment. I think it's Bisu pushing forward. These Scarabs really starting to pay off at the moment.
He's using the battery. Oh, no, did he not get the click off on the battery?
Well, I think
it might have been out of range.
So yeah, I think it was just enough to kill it anyways.
This is going to be game here.
Yeah, it looks like Jaehoon just does not have
good luck, Reaver.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
And that's all she wrote. That should be enough for Bisu to finish this off. Even with the fresh Dragoons coming out, the 2 Reavers going to be too much. And GG.
Nicely done. So, yeah, I mean, Bisu just handled that much better. And as the game went on, I think Jaehoon was a little bit too eager to try to end the game. And it just didn't pay off.
Yeah, you know, I liked his play overall. Again, it was like a pretty solid PvP coming out of Jaehoon.
Yeah.
But that one attack over the bridge, that part, where he landed his Reavers was just not a good spot. He had no pressure down there, no units down there to punish any running in, and lost the shuttle in a matter of seconds. Down goes the Reaver, and suddenly Bisu has all the advantages.
A lot of times the mini game that's being played here is you're trying to draw their Dragoons into your shuttle, but make them overextend, then you gun them down, and then you start to use the Reaver to push. Anyways, guys, Bisu wins that game, our first survivor. Coming up next, we're going to go to the losers match and find out who will be eliminated in Day 3 of the ASL.
All right, let's go into the interview now. Going to be Bisu, of course.
기분 정말 좋으실 것 같은데 소감
Not a single map dropped.
당연히 올라가야 된다고 생각했고요. 뭐 첫 번째 경기가 좀 위험했는데 그 위기를 좀 파헤치니까.
He says, yeah, I was pretty sure I was going to make the round of 16.
잘된 것 같아요.
네, 오늘 경기력을 보니까 좀 순조롭게 진행이 됐고 준비한 전략들이 좀 있을 것 같은데 그런 것들이 잘
You know,
풀렸나요?
I had a really nice game in that first map, and it continued right into the second map.
상대가 좀 꼬라박을 좀 해줘가지고 네, 좀 게임이 잘.
Seems like all your strategies and tactics worked well tonight.
지난번에는 좀 안타까웠어요.
Said, yeah, my game's pretty much played as I expected.
갑작스러운 그런 연패를 당하게 되면서 아쉬운 성적을 좀 보여줬는데 이번 시즌 목표는 어떻게 되십니까?
거의 이번 시즌도
It's pretty unfortunate they got eliminated so early last season. What do you expect about this season?
생각을 많이 해야 될 것 같아요.
예, 뭐 전체적으로 막 이제 막 따라잡으려고 하는 그
Says, I'm pretty conscious about Flash and C. They're really the biggest opponents for me, the biggest road
많이
loss.
놀랐을 것 같더라고요.
뭐 연습 때 굉장히 잘해가지고 좀 저랑 비슷하게 플레이해가지고 좀.
Now they're talking about the match that he had against Mini.
선수거든요. 근데 오늘도 역시나 되게 잘해가지고 놀랬고요.
Says it seems like Mini's playing style is pretty similar to mine. I was surprised by his performance as well.
열심히 하고 있는 그런 선수들 정말 그 대단한 실력들을 보여주고 있는데 김태균 선수의 실력들이 좀 바짝 긴장하고 있다라는 그런 얘기를 해주셨습니다.
네, 끝으로 그러면 16강전 각오랑 팬분들께 인사 한 말씀 하시죠.
저번에는 좀 쉽게 3대0으로.
Any words for your friends or supporters here tonight?
뭔가 다시 게임이 잘 된다는 느낌을 좀 받았거든요 이번에. 그래서
says, yeah, I was defeated last season, so I was pretty disappointed myself. But I'll prepare well this season, and you can expect to watch really good games from me this season.
연승 이어 나가시길 바라겠습니다.
What's he doing? He's trying to get out
그럼
of it.
저희는 잠시 쉬고 패자전 경기 변현재
Hopefully, Bisu continues to pull out great games.
All right, guys, we'll be right back after this at TDP at the ASL. Stay tuned.
Before I walk before I run before I sprint. Know that I'm not done. Fall before I fly, choke before I run.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
양이놈 장난이 없다 근데 진짜.
땅땅치기 신제품 매콤 찹쌀을 지금 탱탱하고 먹어보도록 하겠습니다.
먹어볼게요.
하면서 겉은 바삭하면서 매콤하면서 약간 맛있는 매운맛?
맵다가 아니고 매콤이에요 진짜로.
열심히 입 털고 맛있는 때 순간사는 화북이다. 매콤 찹쌀 네, 사랑해주세요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오? 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아들! 아빠! 기죽지 말고. 기 안 죽지. 누가 아들인데.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너! 원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형
뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이에요.
이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 뻗어갑니다. 담장을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투런홈런.
We are back here at the ASL. It's time to find out which player is going to be eliminated first tonight. This will be a Terran versus Protoss, our only Terran out of the other Protoss players here. Light having a rough first game. It was a proxy gate. The proxy gate was very effective. He never even got to build a tank.
Yeah, it was just a lot of bad luck there, to be honest, where Jaehoon proxied was not one of the places that Light scouted, so he assumed it wasn't occurring and died because of that.
And, you know, it's a smart move there for Jaehoon to use a strat like that, because it essentially stops Terran from getting to the point in the game where they really want to get to.
Yeah.
You know, on 3 bases, making tanks, making vultures, getting, you know, +2 attack, +1 armor, and then pushing out, maxing out. Now, I wonder if Mini is going to take a page from Jaehoon's playbook, because sometimes when you lose a game like that, it doesn't hurt to try something similar again. Well, it's super tilting to lose like that.
It really is. It's so frustrating, because you're like, well, I barely got to show anything. But Circuit Breakers is a 4-player map, so I'm not expecting a proxy gate as likely. Of course, it could occur. You make it somewhere in the middle, or guess between the 2 mains, something like that. But I'd expect that we will see a more standard game coming out of Mini here. I liked his standard play against Bisu anyways.
Yeah. This is a map that can go to a very long game, so this might be the first actual long game we've had here tonight. PvP usually ends around the mid-game, but occasionally we get to these very long, dramatic games, kind of like we saw in the Bisu game back there. But yeah, let's see what these two guys got in store for us. Again, there's so many tricks that Protoss can use early on to try to dig into the Terran and ideally either win the game or put them at a disadvantage.
Well, Light hasn't shown like the strongest plays so far in ASL, so I think it's really up to Mini how he wants to approach it.
All right, guys, this is game number 4 in the ASL. Let's go.
So funny. Turned all the open slots to Terran and just jumps around in it.
I know, I saw that.
That's style, guys. That's someone who's played a long time.
Introducing our players in cross spots in this case. In the upper left, in the brown, it's Light. See?
There he is.
See? I was right.
Oh.
I really know this stuff. In the bottom right, in the yellow, our Protoss player, Mini.
Okie dokie. Good job, Tasteless.
Thanks.
Cross spawns.
Wasn't sure how that was going to go back there. It looks like I managed to say their colors and their IDs correctly.
You were fantastic.
We're off to a great start.
Now, Circuit Breaker really does give us a lot of long games. Of course, here it's cross spawn, so I expect it to be the same, but it's so easy for Terran to turtle 4 bases here, like super easy.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it comes down to how the Protoss ends up playing that. Like, do you play like a refugee style of Protoss? Are you just trying to bleed him with gates from everywhere? Are you going to hit some fantastic, recalls into his base at just the right time as he's trying to move out that first time? That's one of the most critical moments in these macro games. Of course, we haven't seen yet exactly what he's going to do, but right now it's looking like Light wants to go for a gasless expand. So if that is the case coming out of Light, we could see something like a 4-factory timing push on Mini.
That's true. Generally in cross spots, it's a little bit more undesirable to try to push, but it still happens. Now, what we're seeing here, it looks like it's going to be Terran doing a very, very quick expand because he's already making the wall in on the low ground. And this is something in the much later years of Brood War became normal. Like when you and I would go to tournaments, it was not. It was.
This is so funny.
Somebody's brought like a router.
I have one of those at home too.
Yeah.
His neighbor that leeches his Wi-Fi is like, damn it, what is going on? I can't watch ASL tonight. When he watches the VODs later, he'll know.
Yeah, he'll find out. There it is. So this is something Terran's experimented with for a long time, walling in on the low ground, and it seemed like it was pretty unsafe. But it seems like now Terrans have pretty much got this mapped out about as fine as you can. But he's not making a command center right away. He's actually getting gas.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
What is that?
I think he might have won something. It looks like maybe a mouse box.
Could be.
I don't know.
We'll never know. It'll remain a mystery. Sorry, guys.
Anyways, yeah, he gets the gas, right? So I wasn't looking 100%. I was looking at some other stuff. How quickly did he just get the gas now? This wasn't right after.
It seemed
right?
like it was not right after, which is a little weird. And also,
this could be
Protoss stopped mining gas too and is making a Nexus now.
Yeah, and these definitely could be counterplays because the position on that barracks and depot screams that he wants to go gasless expand. But since the probe is already there, not only can he block the command center and make you build it like kind of in a funky place, but he could have theoretically gone up and stolen the gas. And if you steal the gas against a gasless expand, then your siege tanks come out really late.
Yeah,
like, they're already going to come out late.
You can get in a lot of trouble against the Dragoons.
Yeah.
Now, see the placement of the Zealot here? The Marine's going to spawn right where that Zealot is.
Oh! Tries to get the SCV. Very nice there by Light, bring down that SCV. And now he'll clear this Zealot super easily. Shouldn't lose anything.
Very good control. Does get one, and I don't believe the Zealot can get out there.
All right.
So dead end. I'm sorry. Okay, there is a factory that's almost done. I was getting confused for a second. I didn't see it. So Protoss basically scrambled to just get a Nexus because it looked like the Terran was probably just going to make a quick CC. But in fact, he's going for a factory, so Terran has the opportunity to push, and oh my god, he's pulling the boys.
Yeah, this is definitely something that can work. The fact that you're making a Vulture, the Vulture can just kill the Zealots by itself, and with all these SCVs and Marines coming down, definitely some potential here for Light to pull a win.
This is so weird. Well, it's like they're both trying to counter each other's builds, and the counter to the counter to the counter to the counter might just actually win this game because he doesn't expect all these SCVs to be out here. Oh my god, if the Marines can get like around. Okay,
he comes out, starts poking.
Every shield, every HP is important.
With these SCVs coming up to the front, there are some probes down here to try to help out. He needs to get some Dragoons out as well.
In a big fight
the
like
Vulture
this,
is going to be the real pain.
Okay, he's going to try to bunker push this. Now he's hitting the SCVs that are mining this. Now probes are weaker than SCVs in a fight like this. He's trying to delay that bunker as much as possible. It's really up to trying to get around this army.
That's a good flank. That's a good flank with those probes. The Zealot's getting on top of things right now.
Oh, he's getting the Vulture.
Oh my god, yeah, the Vulture almost goes down here.
Oh, the Dragoon goes down. It's just probes. That's not good. And the bunker's done.
With the bunker being up, if he gets 2 Marines,
he
he
gets
picks one off.
Look
at this.
It didn't even go directly, and it skidded on the top.
Sickest body block there with the Dragoon. But 2 Marines in this bunker right now. Vulture's still trying to run by. A lot of probes already dead. Oh my god, the Vulture makes it pass.
Oh, and the SCVs block out the Dragoon. Let's see how many workers this Vulture can get. Looks like it's only going to get 1, actually. Nicely done.
Oh, man.
Now, let's not forget that there were a lot of SCVs that were pulled there, so it's not like Terran has, a fully functional economy back at home.
No, he put a lot into doing this as well. You're definitely right about that, but to kill this many probes, also he's cleared a couple Dragoons and all the Zealots thus far. Even got a Vulture in the main base and saw that there's nothing crazy happening tech-wise.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like Light's position.
Yeah, he's looking really good. Now, he's going to get this Nexus and probably send all of his SCVs immediately back home.
Yeah, he's got to repair for the time being.
He's going to try to actually, at the last... Okay, this is actually a huge mistake here by Protoss. That is actually such an overextension.
This is him trying to prevent anything from really getting away, right? Like,
right.
If the SCVs try to run, he can chase them down with the Dragoons. He can intercept the Vulture trying to get out or a new Vulture trying to get in. Any Marines trying to escape. So he's trying to at least like gain some sort of value here.
Yeah, and what the Terran is doing is just buying time by repairing this. Now he's got mines, so he can lay mines over here. I don't think we're going to have observers out just yet, which means even if he takes this out, he can't expand there again immediately. Now there's a tank crossing the map, Artosis.
Yeah, this is a really cool move.
That's really interesting. He's actually, I don't think there's enough SCVs to keep this alive, though.
But this going to eventually pop. Okay, there we go. Tried to draw some hits, actually, with that Marine. That's a really cute move, but they were already on the target. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Brutal.
Now, I don't think the tank should actually push forward here.
No, this is where you turn around. If you've already lost all of the Marines, you can't actually push in. If he could have gotten that down there before the bunker popped, then he actually could have unloaded Marines, sandwiched the two Dragoons, and killed them.
Okay, this is a little bit crazy. He should know better after seeing those mines planted. Now, we saw a robotic support bay. So he's going to try to counter into here with a Reaver drop, saying that right now Terran probably doesn't have that much anti-air. He certainly doesn't have Marines because those are all killed off. This is a very smart response here from Mini, but it's going to take a little bit before he can actually utilize the shuttle and the Reaver, and I feel like Terran's going to have a lot of momentum.
Yeah, he definitely does have that. You know, the thing is, after this type of situation, are you making turrets? That feels like one way to give Protoss a way back in, is if you're spending money on an eBay and a bunch of turrets. The Academy would probably be fine because you already have Spider Mines, so DTs are not going to be an issue. So yeah, like the Reaver, even though this is kind of weird and it sometimes takes a while to make it work out, I don't expect there to be a single turret.
Yeah, well, the eBay just finished, so we'll see in a second if there are going to be turrets here.
Okay, well, if you just finished one, then yeah, he'll definitely get at least one.
Yeah, but it might be...
You never know, it could be a frontal turret.
Okay, now this mine could see this.
Mines are pretty low on that. Yeah, see, so this is a frontal turret. This is like preventing any crazy moves coming in there. It does go on up in the main. That isn't a turret that counters Reaver. It's okay against Reaver.
It's actually there for DTs, it seems like.
Yeah, it's just like an all-around turret. Like, you can repair it if you need. It covers your mineral line.
Yeah.
Like, you can still drop a Reaver up there, but you can't push right into the mineral line from that top area, right? You're going to be getting, like, gas SCVs for the most part. So, it's not like a perfect turret against Reavers, but it's nice that he has it.
So the eBay does spot the Reaver coming out here. And, I mean, there's basically nothing you can do. You're going to land and immediately take shots from the tanks. It's a tough fight. So the first observer's out. He's cleaning up the mines. Now, of course, if you get a Reaver like this and don't... Oh, that's so sick. So he actually has... Oh, it's so close.
That's crazy.
That's so close.
A millimeter forward, and he gets hit by a mine there. Oh,
so I do want to point out that he actually intentionally... Oh, my God!
Ooh. Hey, good Reaver micro.
It actually got up there. So he had the turret underneath the barracks, and that's a really good trick because they don't initially see it, and you can take a lot of damage. And shuttles are pretty sluggish, so it's hard to get them back to where you want them to be in time.
All right, a little bit slow on getting those to mine. Vultures going around the map, seeing if they can find a way to poke in. Is Mini overextending here with these drops and allowing those Vultures to do some damage? We'll see in a second.
The Vultures are going to come around now. Now, in this phase of the game, Protoss doesn't have a lot of observers, so you have to be like really on top of where everything is. And oh my God, two Vultures do speed by, and they can start planting mines. Oh, excuse me, they don't have any mines on them. They already planted them all, but they can start hitting these workers. Really good building wall over here.
Yeah, very good SimCity on the bottom of that Nexus, preventing too much damage. But, oh, a couple Vultures going in the natural now. And he is, I mean, this is some pretty solid damage, considering how this game opened up as well. He's got to be very happy with what he's done with these Vultures.
In fact, the Scarab's not even connecting.
Oh, my God.
Okay, he finally cleans that up. Very nicely done.
That was a seriously good amount of damage in the natural.
Oh, my God, this Vulture's just still there. It's not even attacking.
Yeah. The unit it was trying to attack went out of range. That's a little bug that happens sometimes.
Looks like he's forgotten about it as well. Okay, now he sees it. Going to try to get a few more workers over here. Hey. So Protoss is taking to third base, which is exactly what he needs to do. And he's going to start making a lot more gates. Meanwhile, Terran's going to try to stretch out and take this command center location right over here and hopefully have enough to defend it.
Now, Seedshank's spreading at the moment and going to be able to defend everything pretty easily. This only Dragoon force with like a Reaver that might be coming up can't really break tanks in siege mode. really not even close. So as long as he gets this siege all set, and haven't actually seen him siege yet, so might not actually have it. You get it pretty late nowadays in TVT.
Oh, this is actually a great connection here. Can you get one more set of SCVs? Really good job. And forcing the Terran to lift up, and look at this. Protoss just backs out. That's exactly how you want to play. Do the optimal amount of damage and then run for it. And he's got a second shuttle here, and this is an indicator he may be trying to do a bust. The tanks are the backbone of the Terran army for defense, but if you have 2 speed shuttles, you can drop a lot of units right on top of that. If you drop the Zealots out first of all, you're going to kill a lot of tanks with the Dragoons coming in there. Then you drop the Reavers and just target the biggest tank clump.
Oh, man.
You might be able to just break the Terran.
Yeah, this is super, super dangerous. And when they're firing at all these things that are near them, the Dragoons can run in as well. But let's see where he goes.
Oh,
He's actually going to the main, but there's 2 turrets here.
This is crazy.
And there's mines. Oh, my God, Tasteless. This is... Oh!
Well, this
Double
was
Reaver.
actually, I think in some sense, is a little bit riskier even than just doing the drop at the front that I thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because...
Like, if he was going for units with that, I kind of understand, but...
Yeah, that seemed a little bit excessive, but he's going to try to drop in here now. Here we go. He's going to target the clump.
Oh, that was a really great connection right there, but plenty... Look at these SCVs blocking, even that one making the turret on these Dragoons. This could have been so much worse right now for Light, but still, he got quite a few siege tanks.
I actually... See, this is why I thought he was going to do that initially.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was almost like a roll of the dice if you're going to run into the main. Because if they have everything there, or you lose all the shuttles and turrets, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm dead.
Well, if he didn't have 2 turrets right there, this could have been just a brilliant move overall. Both the shuttles possibly would have made it out and done some damage there, but instead it goes south a little bit. Still, he's poking that third base a bit, has his own third base up.
Also, resetting the tank count is always good. Dragoons and Zealots are much more expendable than the siege tanks are. So trading into that, it makes the Terrans push always that much later. So Protoss may be hungry to try to take a 4th base here. And by the way, he's not been stopping with the shuttles and the Reavers.
Yeah, which is a little bit uncommon, but if you just continue to reduce those siege tanks, sometimes you can make something like this work. But Light's macro is going to truly kick in, and again, this map, if he wants to take a 4th base, you can't really stop him as Protoss. You just make a depot wall at the bottom of that ramp, set up some turrets and siege tanks, and it is like ludicrously hard to break Terrans. So I'm not sure what these Reavers are going to do anymore. Like, you can use them in a few different ways, like just poking at turrets and stuff, but they're definitely losing value overall.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's funny because we saw Mini do something similar in a PvP where he just kept making Reavers. Well, eventually Bisu just got like a really technical Protoss army that just has a lot more longevity. It doesn't mean that you just never make Reavers ever again, but it just seems like after that initial attack, he probably should just focus on the macro play. Now, he does use that Reaver up there to try to slow down SCVs from getting over there, so that's going to keep Light forced to be as honest as possible this game.
And some Vultures coming in right now and trying to lay some mines on top of these Dragoons. Good pylon walls, so can't really get in at the moment. Looks like Mini has sealed everything up pretty tight.
And this is where Terran can end up overextending. If you just run around planting mines everywhere and then you just kill all the mines and you're pretty much covered, it's not great for Terran because Terran ideally wants to use those mines offensively or to win some kind of positional fight. And this is where Light is just going to be macroing up.
Indeed he is. We don't have the 4th command center on the way, right? That brown splotch at the top above his 3rd, that's not a command center, I don't believe.
I don't think so.
It doesn't quite look big enough. But it's at the top of the map, so things can be a little bit deceiving.
I think he actually stayed on 3 bases here, and that might be a reaction to the Reaver play.
Maybe. The thing is, if I see my opponent keep making Reavers, it's like, well, I mean, you keep making Reavers and you have all these shuttles and stuff, I guess you probably don't have Arbiters yet. 4th base doesn't sound too bad, but pushing out once again with some Vultures, going to be laying mines on the map. He got his starport just a little bit late.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is a command center.
Okay, yeah. Okay. That makes a lot more sense to me. Like, this seems very much so.
Oh, this is cute.
The map is so good for 4-base Terran. And 4 bases is where Terran just, like, easy maxes.
So he's just coming in here. He's trying to do as much damage as possible. He's trying to delay the 4th base as much as he can, but he sees the Reavers up here at the top. That's going to make him feel a lot more confident in this push down here at the bottom. He's laying a big blanket of spider mines there. And then most of the Protoss' army is actually not at the top. I think he has only one control group here, and he's going to try
and... He's actually going to the high ground here to push down onto the third. I thought he might go for that fourth base, but high ground positions are super strong for Siege Tank, so he's moving in. He does have a couple Goliaths there to try to push back the shuttle when that comes back to help, but Mini has got to crush this push.
Yeah, there's a big minefield above where this is, so this army can't just walk down here, and in fact, if he doesn't clean this up in time, this base is going to be destroyed. He's going to try to come in here instead and drop.
This is a lot of Zealots flanking right now. The Dragoons from the top a little bit late to the party, though, which means these Zealots get cleaned up a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, the Vultures are a very good counter to the Zealots. However, with the Reaper here, look at this. He's going to get great shots off, and Mini's going to clean this up pretty easily.
Yeah, and in fact, this rally down from Light not going to do it either.
I think that was such a strange location to push. I thought he should have just gone for the fourth.
Yeah,
he would have killed it.
He should have sieged it, and then not only that, but like the rally is a lot easier to just get more units down there. Like for instance, before that battle would have ended, he would have had another set of Vultures and another tank down there. So, kind of a funny push by him. Do we have confirmation that he's actually seen the fourth base, or?
Well, there's no way for us to check, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that maybe he hasn't seen it. That would seem
there is a possibility he didn't go super close to it when he was laying his mines, so he might have missed the fact that there's a base there.
It's strange because it would be an obvious location to expand to.
Yeah. I
guess the bottom center would be more appealing for Protoss, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would take the center right. And I actually thought that's what triggered the push.
Ooh.
Whoa, he's going for carriers.
Really nice move here from Mini. He has gotten a big economy for a big portion of this game as well. Like, let's not forget, it's kind of funny how the game opened up, right? He lost his Nexus and a bunch of probes, but he's been stalling out Light. He just quashed that push. And he took his third pretty quick. He took his fourth pretty quick. And he's taken his fifth with good timing here after crushing that push. So these carriers... He's going to be able to get up to 6 tasteless before any attack hits him again, I think.
Now, important to note is that a lot of people would say if you're both playing a perfect, proper game, carriers are just not the best approach.
Those people never played TVP.
Because if they mass up enough Goliaths, you just get under the carriers. It's a big open map. I mean, carriers are strongest on maps where it's like got lots of valleys, high ground, low ground. Areas where there's
any
no
terrain where Goliaths can't chase you down is really strong for carriers. But you're right, like in the middle of the map here, if you don't have splash damage and stuff, Terran can unsiege all his stuff and just attack at you and chase down your carriers. So you have to be a little bit clever with how you're going to use this, how you're going to position your carriers. But the old adage remains true. If you have 4 or more carriers before your opponent knows that you're going carriers, that can win the game straight up.
However, if you're scanned...
Yes.
And let's say you're just on the way of getting the first 3 or the next 6. They just make only Goliaths.
Yes.
And you pretty much lose. And sometimes you have enough Goliaths that it's not even a matter of getting under the carriers and hitting them. The Goliaths just kill all the interceptors. And then Protoss is running away trying to remake interceptors and spending all of his money.
And interceptors are reasonably expensive.
That's right.
All right, this is a big movie, big army moving out.
It would make a good movie, though, that's for sure.
Well, it's as long as a movie each ASL day, even today, which is pretty quick. But that's a good amount of Goliaths. That is going to keep the carriers slightly off his back. The shuttle won't be able to do anything near the siege tanks. And this, he's moving this army quite well at the moment.
He's going to go ahead and show his hand here. Getting these few carriers out here. Now, the carriers combined with the ground units are actually quite strong, but I don't feel like he even had enough interceptors back there.
Well, I mean, there's a possibility that he could have forgotten the interceptor carrying upgrade. Sometimes you see that happen, and you see a Protoss fighting with 4 interceptors per carrier. That's brutal. But I guess the real problem here is when you're going for carrier tech, you want to be able to pick off some siege tanks or vultures so that your ground army can do something. This mech ground army is super strong right now.
2-2 actually. He's coming forward. Now he needs to make sure these Goliaths don't pick off his carriers or he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's trying to come in here from behind. I don't know how many mines there are over here with the rest of this.
Catches some of those Goliaths that's being rallied in, so that's really nice. There's not enough Goliaths with this army to actually stop this many carriers, so Mini is going to stop this push. This is really good for Mini.
Yeah, squishing this push is going to be pretty crazy. That's a lot of damage, though. Yeah, but it does. I guess, with that being said, they are coming in here and actually hitting all these tanks. Goliaths and Vultures are never going to beat a huge Protoss army like this. He does get one carrier, by the way.
Yeah, that's a nice pickoff, but Mini's taken another base in the bottom left. He's lost a lot of probes, but just holding this push gives him a nice advantage because he's cleared the siege tank. So right now, you need Vultures still, but you also need to replenish your siege tank count so you can actually fight against Dragoons.
And you need enough Goliaths that you can answer the carriers, so it's pretty tricky. However, there's huge pushes coming down here, and it seems like he's almost a little bit ahead as far as positioning from where his opponent is. Good scan, immediately gets that. That was actually pretty sick before one more Scarab fires off.
It was so close there, too. I thought for sure he'd get it off, but great move there by Light. Finally going to get some damage done towards that bottom left. It is a new base here, but
he's going to take this out. He's actually going to clean up that bottom left base. Protoss did lose the Nexus at the third base. He barely has the Nexus over here at the natural. And Light's doing a very good job, to be honest. He's like really on top of his game.
Yeah, he's spreading very well, has a good factory count as well. Unfortunately for him, he's going to lose these top two right bases. But I love what he's doing. This is so important from Light to relay his mines in the middle of the map. He needs to choke this up, like make some congestion for the Protoss army movement. And with doing that, it makes it really hard to actually move his entire army around.
This Nexus is just finally going to be taken out, and that's, by the way, less gas, which is the most important part there. For the Protoss. He needs a lot of gas for the rest of this. And in fact, it's going to be Mini that's going to try to barrel through here and hit this base, and Scrambling is alive to try to get up here and get this base covered and defended because Light's got a pretty good tempo advantage here. Then carriers are getting great enough in numbers. It's becoming a real threat. Also, it's okay to make tons of turrets against carriers, and sometimes if the Protoss doesn't calculate it correctly, they lose all their interceptors.
Yeah, but it looks like there's not enough here at this base. The rest of the ground units starting to pull back. I love these moves by Mini right now.
Yeah.
Kind of controlling this this high ground above that base, killing off the wall. You got to remake that wall now. You got to remake those turrets, and Light is really kind of being pushed around the map right now by Mini in a lot of ways.
Okay, so we're getting to the number of carriers where it's actually really scary. Now, it's not the carriers alone that are going to win him the game. It's the combination of the carriers with the ground units, because Goliaths are just not good against Dragoons and Zealots.
Yeah.
And right now, because we've had a couple engages with Vultures, you're going to notice there are not really any Vultures with the army. And the reason for that is because they've already been picked off in the earlier fights, and now he has to keep making Goliaths, and of course he has to keep making tanks for the ground army. So this actually is a game that Mini can win.
It absolutely is, and in fact, this fourth base is such a weak location right now for Life. He's going to be able to take this out, or Light. Why does? Anyways, Light is pushing across the map right now. He's kind of hemming and hawing. He's not making a strong move in one direction.
Yeah, in fact, he's going back now after that command center's been killed because I think he realizes that Protoss may be tempted to keep pushing here. One thing we may see a little bit later on here when the command centers get low in numbers is DTs incorporated with the carriers, because a lot of times they're scanning, trying to find their carriers. Good catch, good catch.
This is a really good moment. That was an overextension by Mini 100%. You do not want to be that close to that many Goliaths. They can kill carriers so fast. But now with all the Dragoons coming up, the carriers can back up to them. And with an almost purely Goliath army, you are not going to beat this.
Yeah. He's actually come in here and he's doing so much damage. He's actually he's targeting the command centers now. He's making sure that you can't get any more gas from these, since he has so many factories. He needs to produce Goliaths, and now he's in a very scary position for the Terran, because the Terran, if it tries to run into this, the Protoss can run into the main and kill the factories.
The carriers have such a strong position at the moment. You have to get a lot of Goliaths here. You have to start picking off carriers, and right now he's kind of just like shooting interceptors, and you can kill interceptors like pretty quickly with Goliaths, but when you see that, like all the Goliaths just firing at random places and being hit by the interceptors, that's not how you want to do it.
Okay, now the carriers are in the middle of the map. Surely they're going to go underneath mines, and if the Goliaths can run under them, they're going to get a lot of free kills. He needs to get his ground army with this like pronto. Also, the only Nexus that's mining is being hit by the by actually two Nexus, I should say, are being hit. What Protoss is trying to do is push into the center of the left. If he can take that, then he might be able to starve Terran out, pull back. Okay, here we go. It's coming in.
By the way, we still see a lot of good moves coming out of Light here. He's scanning for observers. over and over again as well. Of course, he wants to see where the army is, but this is something you can do when you're really in a scrappy position as Terran. If you kill all the observers, then the mines can start killing off the Dragoons, so you actually have a shot to kill the carriers.
Now, he's making the DTs. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too late, so he knows that Terran is very just low on scans in general. Now, I don't know how much money Protoss has, but I don't see another Nexus here. And if he doesn't make one pretty soon, I think we can assume that he doesn't have enough money. Wow, okay. The fact that he's not mining from anywhere, really, I guess the center right sort of has people mining in it, but not that many. If he doesn't, okay, that was a mistake to send both DTs. You only want to send one.
Yeah, it's getting into such a weird spot where they both have such low economies. You really have to economize every single unit right now. Even the interceptors are going to be almost too expensive for Mini, so he's got to make all the right moves. Here he goes. He's going for a command center. It's not quite going to work. Going ahead and engaging on these Goliaths. No micro really coming out of Light here.
Looks like Light's going to gamble and hope that he has enough Goliaths to possibly kill all the interceptors. But, I mean, the shift clicking here from his opponent is pretty damn good. I mean, Mini's really eliminating Goliaths, I think, at a rate that you cannot compete with. If he just gets a few more.
He is getting quite a few.
One mistake by Mini, he didn't get the SCV making the eBay. So right now, all of the money that Light has, he's going to spend on making turrets, and that means I don't think the carriers can actually engage in there yet.
By the way, I don't think that we mentioned it. Bottom left, Light has actually taken, which is kind of funny. You don't expect to see a Terran base down there, but this has become such a scrappy game. Mini does not have any money to make nexuses around the map, so he's just microing his heart out right now, trying to get this victory.
Okay, he's coming in. He's going to try to target down the command center really fast. The SCV's repaired in time.
Don't forget, he's losing interceptors during this entire time.
Oh, he's got too many SCVs around it. Overextension.
And he's starting to pick off some of these Goliaths as well, but a lot of interceptors losing their lives. That is money that really Mini doesn't have a lot of. Only has that one mining base.
God. If he just moved those carriers down there, it's actually more important he gets that bottom left base.
Yeah, well, the bottom left base is, like, he'd kill it in 2 seconds. It's just you don't expect for Terran to be there.
Yeah, it's actually a good move against carriers specifically.
Yeah, well, especially in a game like this that gets so low economy, you have to really look at his carriers. It's like, this is endgame, and that's his queen, and he has, like, a couple pawns. He's got to be moving it around in very important directions. He cannot be wasting time scouting with carriers.
Yeah, that's very true. That's why you want to try to use those extra ground units to keep scouting around the map. And I think he's just neglected this one blind spot on the map. Now, with the Archons and the Dragoons and the few Zealots that are there, that's not bad against Goliaths. And a head-on fight may be the way he wants to win. Also, you can use Reaver drops at this phase of the game. If you want to get another Reaver, if you have a shuttle, it's a scrappy game. Suddenly, they don't quite have turrets in the right spots.
I'd be a little bit scared against +3 Goliaths with range, but, I mean, any damage that he can get done at this point is pretty crucial. Here we go. The
he's going to come up here again. Now he had to remake all of his interceptors there, and I think he's just not confident with the income that he's got. Sacking interceptors. Terran's mining from there, and Terran. Okay, now this is pretty big. He's going to try to move out.
Wow, this is
crazy, man.
3 siege tanks left over to try to push everything back. Okay, engaging the carriers a little bit. He wants to keep them over here so his siege tanks can kill that base.
Okay, he's coming forward now with these Dragoons and Archons.
Okay, he's going to lose the base, but he's going to be able to possibly clean out the Goliaths, and that could still lead to a victory for Mini.
Okay, this is so crazy. He's pushing up. Remember, the Archons do not trigger mines, by the way, guys. He EMPs that. He gets the Archons. They're all low. Goliaths are coming back. Does he actually have enough, though?
Some great EMPs hitting all of that, but how many Goliaths are actually left over here? How many interceptors does Mini have? He's not mining.
Oh, he's underneath it. There it is. GG.
Wow.
Wow, that was sick.
Okay,
that was a really good game.
That was a really nice game. And don't forget, guys, this started with Light killing the Nexus of Mini. And Mini just going into Reaver drops for a long time. But you know what? I liked how Mini played overall tonight. He gets last place in his group. But I think Mini is he's showing some good skills, and I can't wait to see him again next season. Because you know what? With skills like he's shown tonight, I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't make it in next season.
By the way, this guy is really, really young.
Yeah.
So just as a reminder, you know, here in ASL and StarCraft 1, we do have new people rising up in the ranks. It's not just all the guys that are old school. And I think, look, Mini, you give him another year or two, I think you could really compete and even get deep in the ASL. He had very good game understanding. And a lot of this does come down to the fact he didn't know about that command center in the bottom left.
Yeah, if he had known that, he would have been able to kill that very, very quickly.
I think he would have won. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our final match in tonight's ASL.
To lay my hands on you, I know the feeling is right, but I don't know if I'm through with you. You know my heart's held up, love come day by day, and I know the time is right to spend some nights with you. Do you want my love? Do you want my love? Solid out, don't you know?
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
양이놈 장난이 없다 근데 진짜.
땅땅치기 신제품 매콤 찹쌀을 지금 탱탱이 한번 먹어보도록 하겠습니다.
먹어볼게요.
하면서 겉은 바삭하면서 매콤하면서 약간 맛있는 매운맛?
맵다가 아니고 매콤이에요 진짜로.
열심히 입 털고 마시는 때 순간사는 화북이다. 매콤 짭스 사랑해주세요.
그래서 우리는 인공지능 어플로 한 가지 실험을 해봤습니다.
면접 때 어떤 옷을 입는 게 좋을까?
얼마 전에 산 하늘색 셔츠 있죠?
오? 부모님한테 면접 떨어진 걸 말 못했는데
부모님도 아마 알고 계실 거예요. 자신감을 가지세요.
이 놀라운 기술의 비밀은
아들! 아빠! 기 죽지 말고. 기 안 죽지. 누가 아들인데.
한영으로 박대세입니다. 한영으로 박대세. 잠시만 시청자 올라가는 소리가 들리네요. 다 삭제되기 때문에 오로나민 씨. 잠시만요. 아니 성인이니까요. 짠하고 뭔가 기분 좀 나 있다. 나는 왜 피는지 이해가 안 되는 게 좋으면은 그뿐이야. 더 좋아하면 인생 고달퍼. 맞아요 형님. 너 아직 그 여자 못 잊었어? 매장된다. 그건 맞아. 피부도 좋구만. 이거 잘 나온다 진짜.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
오재원의 타석 왼쪽 밀었습니다. 잡았습니다. 이대형 뜁니다. 정윤 뜁니다. 2루에 던집니다. 2루에서 아웃이요.
이대형 왼쪽으로 타구를 띄웠습니다. 다시 한번 뻗어 잡니다. 담장을 넘습니다. 이대형의 투홈런.
We are back and ready for the final game of tonight's ASL. Another Protoss versus Terran and Artie McTosis.
Yo.
Artie McTizzles.
What up?
We are going to be on the map Outsider.
Okay.
The weirdest map right now in Brood War. And we're not even sure what the games in a PvT are supposed to look like. This is a really funky map where the entire edges of the map are connected, like you're like in a donut basically, but there's minerals cutting everything off. The center of the map is open. It seems like there's a lot of different things both races could have views on it.
Yeah, that definitely is the case. We're gonna have to see what they want to do strategically here, right? Because theoretically they both could take that gas base in the front. There's so much area that you can drop and get into a base. Like turret rings don't really do anything. So I don't know, man.
One of our gun chewers.
I do have to say, Light is not super impressing me tonight. None of his
he's hanging
games
on,
have super
but he doesn't look like the Terran player we used to know and love.
He's not quite at the level you would expect Light to be at. He's someone who is just one of the most rock-solid Terrans of all time. So definitely Jalen has a shot going in here.
And, of course, this is the revenge match. Let's not forget it was Jaehoon that killed Alive with that proxy gate, but this is not a map where you can do that strategy again.
Yes.
At all.
And for the record, even though you said Alive, you're not completely wrong because his ID was Light Alive.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, Light. What am I talking about?
There's a great Terran in StarCraft 2 called Alive.
Yes, that's right. And of course, in StarCraft 1, his ID was Light Alive. And occasionally I'm tempted to actually call him Alive.
Yeah.
But I might have to call him Dead because he's going up against Jane.
Okay.
We are moments away from getting this game started. Again, you have to play not just the matchup, but the map itself. And this map is really weird, and it's really hard. And I mean, man, expect anything. They might go for macro games. They may do something crazy. They may both be doing something crazy, and it just...
Could definitely see some pretty quick dropships as well out of Light here, so... I'm excited to see what he wants to do with the map tasteless. Here we go!
All right, guys, the last game of the night. Light versus Jaehoon. A fight to survive and get a little bit further in the ASL. In the bottom right, in the white, our Terran player, Light. And his opponent in the upper right, in the purple, it's Jaehoon.
Okay. And now, we wait.
Yeah, we want to see what kind of builds they're going to do here. Obviously, Terran, pretty much 99% of the time, is going to be meching. Occasionally we see something really weird, but usually they're going to mech up. But it's the Protoss that might be able to do something sneaky and try to do some kind of harass here early on. And it's also, of course, possible Protoss just skips that part of the game and goes into some kind of macro play.
Yeah. You know, because Outsider is such a crazy map, I'm kind of expecting to see reasonably quick dropships coming out of Light here. You can like drop over near the mineral bases, run in vultures, or you can drop on the high ground above, the Nexus. You can drop behind minerals if they take a mineral only, and it's kind of funny when you look at what fits into dropships versus shuttles, right? Because, like, if you put a couple tanks in a dropship, and then they're like, all right, I'll fill up mine with Dragoons to clear this, and then they drop out 2 Dragoons, and you're like, is that it? You're like, yeah, that's all that fits in a shuttle.
Tanks kill them.
Yeah, the tanks kill them and then re-siege. It's like, oh, man, what?
And also, 4 vultures does beat 4 zealots.
1 vulture beats 4 zealots, Tasteless, to make this perfectly clear,
yes,
okay?
This is true, yeah.
So, when you're looking at that situation, it can be kind of hard for Protoss to deal with Terran on island-ish maps, or even just island maps straight up. But in the past, when we had more islandish maps back in the day, sometimes you'd see Protosses get really creative, get like 3-4 speed shuttles running around just clearing up everything Terran wants to do. I don't think we'll see something like that tonight. But
I'm actually hoping that we eventually do have island maps, like pure island maps, brought back into ASL, and just see what people do in 2017 on that. I know that a lot of Zergs did have a hard time on island maps, but
Parasite Scourge, man. It's all about Parasite Scourge. You never let them off.
That's true. And so what we have here is this is like, I think what some people might call like a pseudo island map, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
Every pseudo island map is like has to be approached differently. Some of them you start out on an island, but the rest of the map is connected by land. In this case,
those ones are generally my favorite, to be honest.
Those are the ones that I had a lot of fun playing on.
Yeah.
What was that? Neo Hull of Valhalla? Was that the name of the map?
Hull of Valhalla. That was a great map.
That was a really cool map. I wouldn't mind if they brought that back. They also had
Little Imba, that one, I think. Terran is pretty good there.
I think so, but it would be fun to see what people do, especially because we understand this game so much better now than back when it was being played on back then. 815 was considered a pseudo island map, and that had a ramp. You started out like it kind of on a plateau, isolated, and you had a ramp that only like Zealots and Marines could fit down.
Yeah, like Worker was the biggest thing.
Yeah, and so that was really interesting.
That was a fun map.
That was a fun map, and that really helped you learn the game, like understand the game in a very different way. Dire Straits, I believe, was the oldest competitive island map. That was a lot of fun.
All the time.
Yeah, that was a great map. Made for some different games, and that was just a bunch of islands on the map. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do on maps that are like that.
God, my memories of playing a lot of games on Dire Straits. Oh my God,
that was really fun. That was really fun.
That was an adventure, taking every island and losing islands, and like it was.
You really got to test your multitasking.
Yeah, of course, that was before people really figured out StarCraft. Dire Straits was. Oh my God.
And so we have the 2 Dragoons coming up here to pressure.
Yeah. This is really cool. So the Dragoons are on low ground. They miss a few shots here and there. When you see the shot that kind of looks like it's not hitting the center as much, it's not. It's missing. But the Zealot just hold position on this ramp so that they can barely peek up right there. Those reverse ramps are kind of funky. And, well, I mean, as the siege chain comes out, that's about the end of it.
And this is really common for Protosses since the early days of StarCraft to try out this technique. Because what they do is they just force you to pull some SCVs, and then you run away once the tank's out.
Yeah.
Now, Protoss is taking an expansion at the front that has access to gas. Terran is taking an expansion in the back that only has access to minerals.
Now, what we see right here with that quick starport, luckily for Jaehoon, he is making a robo very quickly. You'd be kind of crazy not to. But if he doesn't make a shuttle right away, then a dropship with a couple siege tanks can actually kill the Nexus that Jaehoon has taken.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. In fact, they changed some of the maps later on, because the original OG map for competitive play was a map called Lost Temple. There was some other stuff, I think Boneyard or some map that was horrible. You know what I'm talking about?
I vaguely recall the name Boneyard.
There's some other maps, but that was like really before competition had started to heat up in Brood War. But on Lost Temple, there were some problems because you had a ledge over your expansion. It wasn't like... It definitely limited the Protoss' options. I wouldn't say it was completely unfair. But this is another map where you could definitely get dropped and have your expansion take some serious pressure. So he's going to load this up, just 2 vultures, and what, is he going to get a tank in here?
Well, he has a couple other vultures up there. You can drop these and try to run up and kill a bunch of probes in the main base. It's definitely a possibility. But he only has the 1 dropship, and maybe it's a tank and 2 vultures, so that Zealots can't just be dropped on the tank.
Unless I'm crazy.
I didn't see either, but...
There must be a tank.
It's possible.
I can't imagine that he just has 2 vultures.
Okay, it might just be vultures to try to run into the main base.
Okay, that makes
and there's a pylon wall there. So this was very well done by Jaehoon, realizing this is a real possibility early on.
Yeah, basically within the area in your main, you have so much to cover, and so there's like this funny ramp that then leads to more surface area in your main. So he just makes a wall there. So in case Terran tries to do anything here, it can be denied. Okay, now vultures come up here. They're going to plant some mines, or they're not, or they're just going to shoot probes.
Well, if they can
There we
kill
go.
some probes here, it'd be very nice. Doesn't really get as much as he was looking for sure. And that dropship's still kind of just sitting around. Hasn't committed to getting siege mode. Did get the mines and speed. Was hoping to pick off a bunch of probes here, but didn't quite work out. Third base is on the way for a light, though.
Protoss is continuing to move around the map and try to clean up these mines. Now he went for factory, then starport, so he's going to be low on his tank count overall. Really relying on the speed and agility of vultures to try to slow down his opponent as much as possible. Now here comes the vulture drop that might do a lot of damage.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility with this one, getting 2 in the main. There are some Dragoons waiting here. The Spider Mines can throw them off a bit. Meanwhile, Jaehoon actually hitting this 3rd CC that's making.
Loses the 2 Dragoons.
Sick.
But I don't know if he's going to go back.
Yeah, he might not have thought that those Dragoons were going to die.
So what he's trying to do is force a cancel here. If he gets a cancel, that's actually huge. I don't think he's going to get it.
I think he barely won't, but there's a possibility he does. He's got to get to rebuilding this ASAP. Okay, lays some mines down here, just trying to push those Dragoons back, and then he can siege up. Everything's fine.
Okay, the game goes on. And with Terran now taking a third base faster than Protoss, which is pretty scary.
Well, when you're rushing Arbiter, this is definitely something that happens in today's meta, so I think Jaehoon wouldn't be too worried yet. He really hasn't lost many probes. He has that gas base and Arbiter Tribunal on the way, so he's going to have some strong tech. And this is one map that you actually can't fully turret wall. You look at a map like Circuit Breaker, you have 4 bases, you can turret everything so that the Arbiters are very hard to get in. Not so on Outsider. The amount of surface area that Protoss has to fly in is kind of wild.
Yeah, that's true. So you're pretty much going to get the recall off. And it seems like Protoss then would just naturally end up taking a Nexus over here at this location. Of course, the question is oh my God, was that 2 or 3 DTs coming in there?
I think it must be 2 DTs.
Yeah, it would make the most sense if it's 2. Well, I mean, there's a lot of area for the DTs to run and hide in. A lot.
There is, and he just finishes eBay and Comsat, so I guess good timing by him, but this could have been brutal if it was just a little bit quicker.
Okay, the vultures are moving out. The dropships are trying to avoid being spotted here.
By the way, I really quite like, he has observer speed, doesn't he? That's
yeah, he does.
That's really nice for him to get this so quickly on this map, because you do see a lot of vultures here because of all the mineral bases. So, anyways, a DT going, or a couple DTs going towards this back natural.
And he might try to get the command center and then possibly the scanner, because even if you scan down here, if there's no turrets here, you just pick them up. What are you going to do against that? There's nothing.
That was a hilarious scan, by the way. No units there to actually punish.
So he scans again. And this is a good technique because you're burning their scans out.
Yeah.
And, of course, keep in mind you are setting up for Arbiters, so those scans are going to be doubly important later on.
It's very true about that. And, you know, you get to save the DTs as well. If you've got the time to spend a look at those, you can really kind of punish someone that's using only scans. So he's forced into the turret there as well. And Jaehoon's playing a nice, solid game right now.
Yeah, I'm really liking what we're seeing from Jaehoon here. It's definitely pleasing. I am concerned, however, that he's going to come up here. Yes.
I like what I'm seeing from Jaehoon.
It pleases Tasteless.
It's pleasing. Jaehoon pleases the Protoss castle.
But he's going to try to come in here with a push from the top left, and I don't actually know that Protoss can really do that much to stop this at this phase of the game. If he has a scan here...
Yeah, the scan is enough that he can clear it really quickly. If he doesn't notice there's DTs there, maybe he like sieges up. But,
yeah. Oh, we called it. Oh, he's not going to go for it.
So he'll drop 1 and see what happens here. Go ahead, drop 1.
Now, here's the problem is that even though he could maybe eventually kill this with the DT, dropping and picking it back up again, this Lexus is never going to survive, and Protoss is going to have to expand again.
Yeah, that Nexus is super duper dead right now, but the Arbiter is out, and he's got a pretty strong ground army out there. Light doesn't have a super ton of units other than this, because he did take the quick third. He's been focusing on dropships quite heavily this game. So Jaehoon is going to start just kind of expanding around the map. And this is kind of cool, because the Arbiter gives him a different level of mobility. So far, mobility has been dominated by these dropships and the vultures running around.
Yeah.
But the Arbiter can transport a gigantic army in the blink of an eye.
Okay, I guess he's going to try to set up out in the front. And there's actually nothing at the front to defend yet, funnily enough. But I don't think the Protoss can actually do anything with this army. Now, one bad recall and the Protoss should just end up losing later on. But if he gets one good recall, he can start really picking his opponent apart. And this is what we were talking about with the pseudo-island map. You guys can see this square shape that's completely connected as long as you can mine through the minerals on the map, where the center, you can try to attack each other through there. But having these drops, so shuttles here, arbiters, drop ships, all that is so important.
Yeah, it can be so tough to actually walk around. Like, for instance, you recall into a back base, and does Terran attack move all the way down there? Then they have to attack move all the way out, move up all these ramps between all these buildings and everything. So,
okay, now this
mobility
is a
problem.
He's just going to come over here and drop right on top of this. There's going to be so many siege tanks set up here with defense. I'm wondering if these Dragoons can actually get over here and help fight this.
Ooh, 3 siege tanks in there. It's a little bit rough to go in and clean it out with just Dragoons. He's coming over with the rest of his army. He definitely needs to save this Nexus. No reason to lose it to this small drop. Moving forward right now with these Dragoons, just trying to pick off siege tanks as best he can. Looks like he will get all 4.
Yep, cleaning up, looks like the remainder of these Vultures. Vultures always have terrible fights against Dragoons, just one-on-one. Now, the fact that these have mined through here means the DT can now harass this location more easily. More scans coming down here. He again picks up. This is, of course, triggered Goliaths to come into the game. Not just to get the shuttle with the DT in it, but to get the Arbiter as well.
Cleaning out these mines in the middle of the map is Jaehoon. Flying around with these Arbiters as well. He's got to get all these bases up and mining. And eventually he needs to try something like a recall, because if he doesn't put any pressure onto Light coming up, then Light is just going to max out, have science vessels, have a good amount of mines and turrets in his main base, and you're not going to break him.
Such a funny-looking game so far here. I do worry, like with a recall, does Terran just counterattack? You know?
I think he's trying to have good flow right now. Like, you could recall to the bottom left, and Terran might not go clean. He has units down there right now, so I guess he'd be fine, but I think it really matters where his army is. And his main base, I think he's defended pretty well. That's what he's really got to worry about. You could lose a fringe base and then go kill a base of your opponent, but like you cannot be losing your factories.
So, yeah, that is very true. If you get on top of Terran's production, just like in StarCraft 2, you just start to kill everything and knock that out. It's hard for Terran to get back on his feet, where Protoss can kind of run away and set up gateways. We're going to have a recall coming in here. Is Terran going to be ready? Is Protoss actually going to commit to it? It looks like he's looking for an opening.
He's trying.
This is dicey.
Jaehoon not known to have the greatest recalls of all the Protoss pros, but at least this time he was very careful. The rally is right there. That's a super safe rally, knowing what he's playing against. Plenty of mines, enough turrets.
Oh my
and he's
God.
switching into carriers. Oh my God,
wow.
I'm so excited, Tasteless.
This is so smart. A late game carrier switch. Now this is entirely different on this map than what we saw in the other game. Because this map has all these locations that are kind of sectioned off, there's tons of locations for the carriers to hide, and you already started to do the Arbiter tech. Terran doesn't instinctively assume carriers are on the way when they see Arbiters.
No, you don't see that all that often. This is actually a pretty big economy game with not a lot of attacking going on other than some harassment. So this is going to catch Light off guard, Light off guard, probably. Okay, he's flying up with some dropships right now.
Okay, he wants to try to drop over here, and this actually plays right into the Protoss' hands with the carriers that he's got.
Well, he's going to have to show him then, because he can't really get up on top there otherwise. Ooh, that was a nice stasis. But he needs a recall or something up there as well.
Yeah, he doesn't quite have enough carriers yet to try to take this on directly. And what's annoying about this is that it gets in the way of any units that are rallied out.
Yeah, that is a little bit rough. But here come the carriers, so he's going to clean this up relatively quickly from here. Shouldn't be losing the Nexus or anything like that. Did lose a few pylons and whatnot. And the surprise of the carriers.
Yeah.
Because if these carriers pop up out of nowhere, you just don't have that many Goliaths, and it's very tough to counter.
This is going to be a real uphill fight for Terran. I think Light did a really good job early on, but it seems like Jehu's managed to weather the storm and is really where he wants to be. Now, this is 5 dropships coming up here right now, and they're all going to drop right over here at this location. There's not that much here to defend.
Yeah, he should be able to kill this off pretty easily. All he needs to do is lay a few mines here to slow the incoming Protoss army. The dropship's going to back out as well. A strong move here to capitalize on the fact that the carriers, he knew where they were as well as the army.
Yeah, he's continuing to come forward. Okay, so this is not bad. He's going to end up saving this base. And keep in mind that Light is actually getting to the point where he's sucking up all the resources at the bottom of the map, and therefore has to push out with Arbiters, Carriers, and a very solid Protoss ground army.
Yeah, his army doesn't super specialize in anything right now, which makes it a little bit tough as well, but it's still a big Protoss army, so if he just doesn't run into too many spider mines and tries to take a good fight here, maybe he can bust through this front line.
Okay, Terran definitely has the muscle there to really hit Protoss hard if Protoss is in a bad position. The problem is that it doesn't seem like Terran has the capability to actually get across the map and deny bases, and that's the most important thing to do as Terran, is to keep Protoss limited on the number of expansions they get, because it gets to a point where eventually Protoss gets out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They can throw their army right into you and then immediately max out again. And by the way, Arbiters with Carriers is a funny and very sad thing for Terran.
Oh, we literally have a name for this. When they get enough Carriers and Arbiters together, we call it the finger of God, because it just, whatever it touches disappears.
Yeah, it's just
like there isn't a counter to enough Arbiters and Carriers together. It's wild.
Yeah,
he's not at that number yet, but it's getting scary.
Yeah, and the thing is, you could stasis key locations.
Stasis
Terran has
Goliaths.
to be. Yeah, you could stasis Goliaths. You could stasis the Science Vessel. There's so many different ways you could take it, and
let me put it in super layman's terms, right? If you have enough Goliaths to kill the Carriers, and then some of those are stasis, you no longer have enough Goliaths to kill the Carriers. It can get very dirty very quickly. Now, he picked off a Carrier down there. We do have a run-by with these Vultures. It's not really that big a deal, but the Carriers, how do you catch these? Oh, are you going to walk those Goliaths around and catch these? No, you're not. You're going to go start trading bases.
And here's the other thing to keep in mind. You can recall the Carriers back. You can actually bring them back home right where there's another Arbiter. So what he wants to do is probably target down the command center and then pull back immediately. And it can kind of answer what Terran's doing, but this army is pretty scary.
Yeah, he's really relying on his great upgrades right now, and just the fact that he has an insane army. He's taken out multiple bases. The stasis is just to slow him. The Carriers are killing so much right now that if he can slow this push for a bit, he's going to be in great shape.
I think the proper route is to send the Carriers back home, take this out, and then rotate the Carrier army over to the center right and take that base there.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Tasis. If he just moves south, if he can take out this army and move south, he's won the game. Light cannot lose this army. It is so important. He's got a ton of Goliaths in it. And look at this. Oh, God. Side Storm and cannons on a ramp. Oh, Jehu is the dirtiest, man. This is so tough. And look at that. Down go the stasises. Dude,
I could just
you ever try to break a ramp with cannons,
I can just hear the old Terran player.
Carriers, Arbiters, Storm, and cannons up a ramp? Yeah, okay. Could you tell me the Terran counter, my friend? Could you tell me what it is? Could you tell me how to break that?
Oh, my God.
Oh, wait, you can't. You can't break that. Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I mean, when you storm the Goliaths, it's just like if you're storming Hydralisks. But this is a lot of Goliaths. He's got turrets over here. This is...
My Goliaths aren't made out of larva tasteless. It's nothing like storming Hydras. Those things are cheap. They build fast. You can build a ton of them at once.
Look at this. There's actually some interceptors like, I gotta get back home. Whoa! They're flying all the way over. Hurry! Get in there!
Mommy!
Okay, he's trying to poke in. Now notice he's going for the tanks because the ground army is going to come in here. And he's actually, I mean, Goliaths alone have a hard time fighting this.
Yeah, they can't even see the Carriers unless you scan right now because they're invisible, so that's kind of crazy on top of it all.
It's actually, it's pretty crazy that this game has gone this far, considering we were talking about, how you know, it's going to be tricky for Protoss to ever get in the late game here. But, like, he's done it now. Well, and here's the crazy thing. The carriers are even better on this map because of the way that it's shaped.
Oh, God. They're so good on this map.
It's so much better than, for instance, we saw in the other game.
You can't chase them. This is the type of map where if you have a big enough economy as Terran and you know they're coming, you might hide 5 starports and go cloaked raids.
I was about to say this,
because it's like you can't chase these. Look at this. Now they're over there. You're going to walk your Goliath into your main base, to the right, down the ramp, and up here to kill these? No, you're not.
You get there and they run out.
This is free right now for these carriers.
And he's going to try to push up here, but these cannons are simply here to buy time. He might start making DTs here as well. I think this game is basically over.
Jaehoon's got it.
Jaehoon did it. And by the way, props to him because this early game is pretty tricky against the Terran.
I think that Jaehoon definitely played a strong game here. I love the transition into carriers. He identified correctly that Light was super tight against Arbiters, which he had already seen. And he's like, well, I don't know. I already have Stargates. He's fine.
Cute little drop over here. I don't know if it's going to be answered immediately here. Oh, no, it is. Oh, it is.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
here's your answer. Swipe. Swipe.
So we got storms coming down here now. And look, I mean, this is just, it takes too long for Terran to actually chip through this. And the carriers just basically move through the map, annihilating everything that comes in their path. And if I'm looking at this correctly, I don't think Terran's actually mining from any efficient base at all.
Yeah, not really. By the way, did you see how many observers he has with those carriers?
Yeah, he's ready for the possible race
He's serious
transition.
about not losing to, like, the only thing that would even have a remote chance of chasing them down.
And so you don't normally see a lot of cannons against Terran, but at this phase of the game, you have an excess in minerals, so you just spam out a bunch of cannons. So if your army isn't there, you can deal with it this way as well. Not a very impactful stasis. He does take out one Arbiter, but this is becoming almost impossible for Terran. I mean, Protoss is really basically blocked out every possible option.
Yeah, he's got like
you
no
can hit
gas.
from behind here, right?
You just saw him scratch his nose. When a Terran player scratches his nose, it's not because it itches. It's because he's lost the game.
I think that this is basically over. I think Terran can't get another base up. I mean, he's mining from these like very shallow patches. He's also long distance mining from some locations, which basically is almost the same thing as not mining.
Well, this is like he's got like 2 siege tanks in his army.
Yeah.
I don't even. When you're at that point, you better be about to win the game, okay? Like, this ground army can probably kill everything he has.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But then we also have the Finger of God, so it's like
there's just not that much that he's going to be able to do. Okay, now he's trying to push out. He's going to go for it and just try to get up here. But I think actually the other expansions Protoss have kind of solve it for him. The one science vessel, by the way, is very important. In fact, the stasis on the science vessel would be huge because then he has to keep scanning. And DT's comboed with the Arbiters. That's so much cloak.
He needs an overextension of the carriers here. This is really important. If he can pick off 4 or 5 carriers, which like this amount of Goliaths with these upgrades could if they get way out of position, but oh man, see that? See how he's sitting over that ledge, making it super tough. As everything sieges, the army runs back, the carriers pick off a bit more. As the Goliaths chase, they back up over the cliff. Bam, perfect play there out of Jaehoon.
Good call here with the DT. While the fight's going on, he's going to be massacring SCVs down there. So Terran basically knows he's going to lose this if he doesn't do something dramatic very quickly.
Yeah, he's got to chase this down. Like he has everything together here, and Protoss has everything together here. Maybe he has a chance to clean it up. Now, this is a kind of a waste of all these Zealots. They just aren't going to live long against these ground units that have such great upgrades. And now he's trying to chase down these carriers.
He's doing it. I don't know if the carriers are going to be able to get over a ledge. They should be able to if they just keep running. Now, he does have carrier armor, +2.
Oh, that's really good, too.
So
Goliath's double shot.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think there's just a number of expansions that Protoss has. I mean, how do you answer that?
Well, with the cannons and the high Templars on top of the ramp, you don't. You like by the time you break through that with siege tanks scanning up, like 1,000 cloaked carriers fly over and clear it, right? So like this, the Psy Storm keeps you from like clumping up that ramp. That's like such a well defended base. This is so smart from Jaehoon. The most hard thing literally in the game for Terran to break. It's like Dark Swarm for Protoss.
I mean, he's got the ultimate endgame army, and especially on this map, it's going to work.
Yeah.
The storms come down here. I think we're going to see Light tap out in a second. is that was the there it is. GG.
That was less than a second, Tasis. You're off your game. All right.
Dude, Jaehoon, really nicely done.
That was super well done. The transition and carriers, absolutely winning it for him. Light had some very good moves, but when Jaehoon is just like flying over terrain you can't walk on to kill your bases, you can't go back. And I think that I guess the best move for me in this game is when Light, he decides to go attack because Jaehoon's hitting him with carriers, right? And then Jaehoon gets some 6 stasis on the front of Light's army and just slows him down right there. Slows him to a crawl. That's where I feel like Jaehoon really won this game.
You know, to be honest, it didn't look like it was going well for Jaehoon until he actually went into the carrier tech. He had the Arbiters, but Terran was just expanding freely and sucking up resources. But once he got the carrier tech, then he was able to switch and balance out air versus ground, and Terran had a hard time responding.
Indeed. All right, here we go. It's the interview with Jaehoon, who's advanced in second place.
들었다 놨다 하는 경기가 아니었을까 싶은데요. 김재영 선수 최종전까지 왔는데 정말
It was a
긴장 많이 되셨죠?
nail-biting match there for you.
별로 많이 안 됐던 것 같아요. 마지막 경기.
자신감. 네.
When you fell to the decider match, you must have been nervous.
게임에
He says, no, I wasn't nervous. Shut down! Ooh!
maybe 가스가 없더라고요. 계속 그래가지고 좀 많이 당황했는데 상황이 좋아가지고 잘 지켰던 것 같아요.
Said I had a lack of gas.
정말 편안한 마음으로 경기를 잘 풀어나가서 16강에
But my situation was slightly better than my opponent's, so
16강전에서는 더욱 이제 강력한 상대들이 기다리고 있잖아요.
네.
만반의 준비를 하셔야 될 것 같아요. 16강전 준비 어떤 식으로 하실 예정인가요?
Well, you must prepare well for the round of 16. How do you plan to do that?
처음에는 이제 PC방 예선으로 올라가는 거였고요. 그 다음이 16강이었는데 이제 16강 올라왔으니까 16강에서는
Well, my first goal was to qualify. My second goal was the round of 16.
Looks like he's got his priorities in order.
아니 겸손이 아니라 실력이 제가 좀 밀리거든요. 그래가지고
There's so many strong players in that round of 16.
사실 오늘 엄청난
So I'd rather be humble here.
선보인 것 같거든요.
See, that's what I always do wrong. My first goal is to win the tournament, and then I don't even qualify.
과거와는 확연히 다른 듯한 그런 모습을 보여준 것 같은데요. 어떻게 갑자기 이렇게 실력이 급상승하셨나요? 온라인에서도
So we hide the names of the players and look at the game. I wouldn't have thought it was your playing.
제가 일단 가지고 있는 실력은 좀 밀려요. 솔직하게 말해서. 그래서 그냥 저는 이제 한 경기씩 하는 거잖아요. 그래서 좀 경험을 좀 바탕으로 해가지고.
James says, honestly, I think my performance,
오늘 있어서 좀 아쉬운 게
my performance in my playing was a lot better than my opponent's.
이득을 본 이후에 또 과감한 공격을 하다가 좀 안타까운 장면이 만들어졌었는데 그 장면을 떠올려 보자면은 다음에는 이런 실수하지 않겠다라는 것을 좀 느꼈습니까?
네, 저랑 똑같은 빌드 할 거라고.
So there was a little mistake.
제가 연습
You attacked your opponent's base and didn't get an advantage from it. There was a few mistakes in that match.
안전한 이미지여서 분명히 걔도 또 안전하게 하겠다, 태경이도 이렇게 생각하고 했는데 멀티할
Yeah, I knew Bisu would play like this.
그냥
And play very safely against me.
끝까지만 저는 이제 그렸던 거죠. 그림 자체를. 근데 그냥 딱 거기서 그냥.
But I never thought that he would take that extra expansion.
정말 판짜기가 좋았던 것 같습니다. 빠르게 아비토를 준비해서 수박장을 조금 뒤로
Now they're talking about the last match.
뒤로 늦추는 그런 운영을 했는데. 보통은 그런 식으로 아비토를 운영해주면서 넓은 공간을 활용해서 막 리콜을 한다던가 해야 되는데 리콜을 왜 안 하시는 건가요 오늘?
That arbiter play.
그러니까 리콜을 하려고 아예 컨셉을 그렇게 준비한 게 아니었어요. 저는 그냥 가스를.
A lot of people are expecting that you do a recall. You didn't even do it one time.
좋으니까 스타팅이 하나밖에 없잖아요.
And you were just using the arbiters to kind of delay your opponent's expansions.
뭐 리콜에 대한 그런 부담은 없는 거고요.
네, 없죠.
다음에 또 멋있는 그런 아비터 리콜 같은.
So I just tried to go for a macro game and use my units more.
네, 김재원 선수의 이제 팬분들은 정말 축제 분위기일 것 같은데 이제 또 가셔서 스폰도 냠냠하고 이게 선물도 냠냠하셔야 되잖아요. 팬분들께 인사 한 말씀.
So your opponents must be faster than you?
In a festive mood.
In a festive mood.
1승이 일단 목표라고 했는데 왜냐면 조 선수들이 너무 강해가지고.
Fans are in a festive mood. Any words to your festive fans?
그래도 그나마 조금이라도 응원해 주시는 분들 때문에 또 제가 대회를
made it to the round of 16.
좋은 모습 보여줄 수 있는 것 같은데 16강에서도
I also know there's going to be really big name players in that round.
네, 축하드립니다. 다음에 더 멋진 경기
But
기대하겠습니다.
I will try my best to show good games.
Yes.
My favorite quote of all time.
대결이 모두
Please cheer for me.
I want that on my tombstone.
진출자는
I will show good games to my fans.
I will try hard to show good games, and then people read my tombstone. I guess that didn't work out. He's dead.
자, 그럼 오늘의 경기
Oh man, well this is a fun night tonight. I especially like that last game. It was really cool to see him survive that. We had some great PvPs. And of course that down and dirty game 1 with Jaehoon versus Light, or sorry, game 2 with the proxy gate.
Yeah.
That's a really good strat. It's really tough for Terran to hold on to.
Indeed.
So we're getting closer and closer to having the entire round of 16 set up.
That's right. Good showing here by Jaehoon, knocking out such a veteran as Light. Light just not doing that well in the ASL so far.
No, unfortunately not. He only had one matchup to train for, but there's so many different things and so many different play styles that, you know, Protoss, it's tough for him. We still do have some great Terrans already in the round of 16. Flash, C, and Mong. And for Protoss, best Bisu, Jaehoon, and 4 Zergs, and I don't know, we'll never know.
Jaedong, Sulky, Shine, Effort.
Yeah, very good. Nicely done. Group D is going to be on Tuesday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. KST. So mark that down in your calendar. It's going to be Hero versus Lazy, Rain versus Sock.
Yeah. You better be there. Don't be a lazy sock. That's going to be a lot of fun. Rain and Hero,
yeah,
amazing players, and favored for that group, but we'll see how it goes.
Yep, we've had some upsets already here in the ASL. And I guess that does it, Artosis.
I think that's it. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, guys.
Did you find
where
that Bunny
Brood War
Easter
came back from the dead?
Yeah.
And it's going to live on forever. We love you guys. Have a great Easter. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night as well, wherever you are.